introduce it to Mallory, and I was like, ah!
That's awesome. I like that.
So yeah, that was my Wednesday.
It's a good story. All right, have fun.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Would you guys take a break at all, or is it just straight through 3 hours?
I like the bathroom break in the middle is helpful.
That sounds good. All right. Well, my name is Beth Madson. I've been with Keller Williams for 2 years, and prior to that, I was with a different brokerage for 5 or 6 years. So I've been selling real estate about 6 or 7 years, roughly, since 2013. And I'm here to teach you anything you want to know. But so if you have any specific questions at the end or in the middle about anything, I'm happy to help you. And after the class too. I mean, like next week or 2 weeks from now, if you have any questions, I'm happy to help you in any time I can. So don't hesitate to ask me if you have any questions. So today we're teaching Negotiate the Deal. And this is the only class I ever volunteered to teach. And the reason is because I think I'm especially qualified to teach this class. I've taken a number of negotiation classes and am a certified negotiating expert. And there is a class that's offered outside of Keller Williams called CNE, Certified Negotiating Expert. And it's the best class I've ever taken in my life. And I'm a education junkie. So if you ever get the chance to take the class, it's actually being offered in Scottsdale December 10th. And it costs about $500 for a 2-day class. And I can honestly say I get my money back from that class in almost every deal I close. Like, I'm able to negotiate on my clients better. I'm a stronger agent, and I think I represent my clients better. In this digital age, it's especially important because they think they have all the information that they need, and they don't really need you. They just need you to open the door. But the truth is, negotiating is especially important to buyers and sellers. It's actually more important to buyers than it is to sellers, which I find interesting. And it's one of the top things that people wish their real estate agent had been better at. And so, how many of you think you are good negotiators? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, I think I'm a 7. Anybody think they're a 5 or a 7 or a 2 or what do you think? Steady 5.5? I like it. I like it. Well, good. So, have you had any? How many deals have you done? Have you had any negotiation experiences where you feel like you learned something, or?
I don't know if they've been necessarily hard ones. I've done 15 deals. I've been in business just over a year.
That's great.
But most of them have been relatively easy. So I say 5.5 because I haven't actually had to work very hard. I've been very lucky.
I love it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Does anything stand out to you as like a specific situation where you felt like you stepped up and negotiated on someone's behalf?
On someone's behalf, like we had
like your client.
Scottsdale, where the roof was totally just nothing, and the seller wanted to give us like $200 for it, and it's like way. So I ended up getting $5,000 for it, just back and forth on the phone, whatever, playing hardball, all that kind of stuff. So that was probably my hardest.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah. All right. Well, what my strategy is in this class today is I'll go through the material. I'll talk about some experiences. I've got a little negotiation sort of challenge at the end. And if we're done before 3 hours, we're done before 3 hours. I don't make the class be 3 hours if it's not 3 hours. So that's kind of my strategy. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. So this is Ignite. Let's see if I can figure out how to run the class. Okay, now the first thing we're supposed to do is your daily 10-4. Is that something you guys have been doing in class? Yeah?
Depends on the instructor.
Depends on the instructor. Okay, so what you're supposed to do is take some time to make some calls. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And do you want to do that today? No? Anybody? Bueller? Yes?
We can power through.
What's that?
Just keep going through.
We can keep going through. All right. It's your time. All right. So that's the 10-4 stuff right there. Add new 10 contact, lead generation. We'll get through that. All right. So I'm going to intermix some of my classroom CNE stuff in today's class. So if I get a little off topic, it's because I'm going into this book or something else I learned from outside. So
far, nobody's really gone.
nobody's gone book to book?
No.
Okay.
They said we could read that.
You can read that? Okay. So why do you think negotiation is important? Are you raising your
I had
hand?
a quick question.
Sure.
I wasn't going to guess what your question was and answer it. I don't know the answer yet. I just have a question. The CNE that you talked about, is that a designation?
It
that
is.
you can earn?
It
Okay.
is a designation.
All
There's
right.
CNE, which stands for Certified Negotiating Expert, which
Okay.
I am, and then there's MCNE, which is a Master Certified Negotiating Expert. And it's all offered through the Rennie Institute, RENI,
Okay.
which stands for Real Estate Negotiating Institute. And it's the only class in the nation that focuses on negotiation for real estate agents.
Okay.
And so there's actually, they changed their program. In the past, there was 3 separate modules. One was core concepts, just basics of negotiation. The second module was representing buyers, and the third was representing sellers. And now they've changed it so that it's just 2 classes. You have to take the core concepts class first, and then the modules 2 and 3 are together in a 2-day class. So, but it's I don't know what the first. I think it's around $500 roughly
Okay.
per module. But like I said, the guy who teaches it here in Phoenix, his name is Greg Markov, and he's amazing. I mean, it's like I learned so much the whole time.
Do you find listing agents are leery of taking your offer because you're CNE after?
I don't.
Okay.
Well, to be honest with you, I think there are so many different styles of agents. I don't think a lot of people even know what it means,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. I mean, and I try not to make that a big deal to the other agent,
Right. You're.
because I'm representing my client and I want to do what's best for my client from the beginning, and I'll bring it up in a listing appointment that I'm certified, so that they feel I'm confident and able to negotiate on their behalf. And I'll bring it up in a buyer's broker meeting, saying this is one of the reasons you should sign my buyer broker agreement. It's because I'm an excellent negotiator. But I don't usually blab it to the other agents. So I try to keep things collaborative with the other agent. And somebody told me this once, and I thought it was corny, but now I find myself saying it all the time, is I was in a very difficult negotiation on a $950,000 property, and my client was from the win-lose methodology of negotiating. If I'm going to win, you have to lose. Like, that was his mentality. It's kind of like athletics. Someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. That's how it is. And a lot of seniors are like that too, because they come from a point of scarcity. You know, they feel like somebody's got to win. Like, I beat him, I got this deal, I got the best deal, da 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 da. So it's best to be from a collaborative approach and think win-win if you can, because it's proven that both sides fare better if you have a collaborative approach. Okay, and the thing that the corny thing that the other agent said to me is, my seller wants to sell the house, your buyer wants to buy the house. Let's be bridges, not roadblocks. And I'm like, that's corny. But I say it all the time now, because it's like, it really is what it boils down to. You know, I'm just representing my client, and I'm trying to do the best from my client. But in the end, that's the truth. Somebody wants to buy the house, somebody wants to sell the house. Let's not let egos or emotion be a problem for anybody. So why negotiation is important for real estate agents? I think Keller Williams tells us all that it's important to provide value, right? Like, that's our edge, is that we provide value to buyers and to sellers. And we come from contribution and that. So I think we can provide a competitive edge to our clients by showing that value. In a digital age, like I mentioned, people have all this information at their hands. They have Zillow, Trulia, la 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 la. They don't really think that they need you, right? They can do their own comps. They can do their own. I mean, you know, you have to have something that helps you to stand out. So I'm gonna go through this. So what are some of the things? We're gonna watch a video in a minute, but who are some of the people that you negotiate with? Your client,
Cross agents,
cross agents,
cross clients.
cross clients, not ideally, but yes, sometimes. Teams, negotiating your splits and your team deals, referrals, when you're negotiating with another agent in another state, third parties, lenders, inspectors, appraisers, yeah, you know, and brokers, right? If you decided you were going to leave and go somewhere else, wouldn't it be to your advantage to be a better negotiator, right? I mean, we negotiate all the time, and the better that we can be at it, you know, it's better for ourselves, right? So we're going to watch this 10-minute video called Negotiating. If I can figure out how to run there we go. And we'll talk about it.
Hi, I'm Josh Anderson from Nashville, Tennessee. I've been with Keller Williams since 2006. 2014, we did about 200 transactions for about $60 million in volume. I grew up on a farm, so I've always seen my dad negotiating land and cows and horses. Being the youngest of four, I'm trading and negotiating with others all growing up. So I've kind of done it all the time. Some people certainly gravitate toward it and are naturally better at it than others. But I think that negotiation is definitely be learned. I think there's a lot of skills that go into being a great negotiator. I think it's learning your client. Instead of kind of assuming that you know what's important to them, really asking a lot of questions and them tell you what they need or want, and then speaking to the other agent and finding out what's most important to them. And there's some agents that just don't give any. When I have an agent that I'm dealing with that's very tight-lipped, I just keep asking questions, and they give me information that they might not have otherwise given, whether it's a divorce or a death, or it's just they got relocated to some other city. And I think if you're really listening and being intentional and purposeful about listening, you'll find out exactly what's important to them and what they have to have. In certain situations, you have to be creative. We're always looking for that next little tip to help our clients out and win the deals. One of the techniques that we've used a lot that's worked well for us is the escalation clause. For example, if the property is listed at $250,000, we might go in at $250,000 with strong terms, and in special stipulations we might put in there that we're willing to beat the next best hockey unit offer by $1,000 up to $263,000. And the best offer might be $261,000, so we end up getting it for $262,000. From a client standpoint, be willing to have a real conversation. It's not us just being realtors for them, it's us consulting and advising and really telling them, if you really want this property, here's what you have to do to get it. Everybody's got a different way of how they would negotiate. And networking with other Keller Williams agents around the country, the more you hear it, the more ideas you get. And then you end up gearing it towards you and what you think is going to work best for you and your clients. A lot of it comes down to experience, and I think the more deals you do, the more comfortable you get with it. If you can step back from every transaction and learn something, you're going to get really good at it.
Oh, that was it. This won't take long. It was the past 10 minutes. I like it. Let's see. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, we watched the video. Okay, so what were some of the negotiating tips that he suggested?
Asking kind of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Listening intentionally and being creative.
I like it.
Using tactics, that escalating thing, I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, Paula, tell them about your escalation clause.
Beth taught me early on,
Ah.
and we put in an offer on a condo. They received 8 offers, but Beth helped me write an escalation clause that said we will pay $500 more than the highest documented proof, with proof, and we got the offer accepted.
Up to whatever, or just
We
500
did-
over?
I think we went up only 1,000 over what they were, we got it for 500 over what they were offered.
So
I mean,
that,
they
that's
got it.
an addendum, or that's a whole nother?
That's in the other section of the contract.
Remember she called
I
it
can get you the-
creative writing section?
Oh, you just write it in, okay.
Yeah,
got
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay,
So
got
I
it.
can give you the exact verbiage, but it's something along the lines of buyer agrees to pay $500 more than any other offer,
Right.
with proof of signed contract and pre-qualification form, not to exceed some number, because it has to have an end.
Yeah,
And in the event the home does not appraise, buyer agrees to pay cash for the difference. So let's say in this situation, the house is listed at 265.
yeah.
Okay, so they list 265 and then an escalation clause. So let's say they get the house for 267. Okay, the house only appraises for 263.
Sure.
Now they've got to come up with an extra $4,000 at closing to cover that gap.
Okay,
Because that's always going to be a concern in an escalation, is that the house isn't going to appraise.
right.
And then you go back to the negotiation table, and the sellers are like, screw you, why did I even bother with you when I could have taken,
Right.
you know what I mean? So you have to make it worth their while to consider your offer.
Right, and then with that offer, you put in your starting price in the.
Right. So that's in on the first page, yeah. Like you probably just put
So the
list
rest of it all was-
price, yeah.
That's
what
so
we did.
interesting.
We did list price. And we didn't put that appraisal clause in that time. I didn't.
Oh, you did. I thought we did. I think we did because it came up. If we didn't put it in, we did later because it came up. Of course, the seller's agent was like, "Okay, what happens when it doesn't appraise?" Because
Yeah.
that's what we think is going to happen. And I'm like, "We're prepared to pay up to the whatever difference in cash."
That is so
I
interesting.
actually lost a house as a buyer with that.
What's that?
I actually lost a house as a buyer with that clause.
Oh, how so?
Put the clause in there?
When I first moved here, I was working with a realtor, friend of family, and she put it in there. And I still to this day convinced that they didn't present my offer.
Ah,
But we offered
Well,
full
so-
price with the $500 escalation, and then the one he accepted, I think, was coincidentally from his own office.
Uh-huh.
And it fell out, and then he came back to her, and we had already
found
found
something else.
something else. And it's like,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
So one thing that's important to notice on in a situation like that is variable commission. If there's a Y in variable commission, that means the listing agent has incentive to keep it in-house.
Okay,
Do you know what I mean?
okay.
He's gonna make more money by selling it to his buyer,
Mm.
right? And it's also to the seller's also getting a better deal. Like they might be paying only 5%, right?
Right.
And so you have to be aware of that. And in the situation, like if that happened to me and moving forward, I'd be like, seller must respond to this offer, like with
Right.
denial,
Rejection,
cancel,
whatever.
denial, blah, 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 blah. Like that way you know they at least saw it,
Right,
you know? That would make me mad.
yeah.
Oh, and it's happened to me in other situations, but that's not part of
We
this.
did the old, that wasn't meant to be, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got it, that's
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
So Beth, how did you find out about that variable?
How do you find out about it?
Well, how did you, I guess, come to that
How do I learn about it?
realization, yeah, that usually.
I guess I learned about, to be honest with you, I think I learned about it in Jim Callender's broker class. In that he said, you know, if there's variable commission, it's gonna be a Y, and that means the stack's against you as a buyer's agent, because everybody's working to keep that deal to themselves, the seller and this listing agent. So, and I will, you know, if you're in competition with another offer, you know, and the seller's like, well, I'm only gonna have to pay X commission if I sell it to this party, and I have to pay a larger commission if I sell it to Beth's client, that's gonna make a difference. So it's good to know that going in, and if you see variable commission on the MLS, when you call the listing, if you're representing buyer, if you call the listing agent, that'd be one of the questions I ask. You know, what's your variable, I see you're accepting a variable commission. How much of a discount are you taking if you sell this property yourself? They might not answer, but at least they know that you know. Yeah. All right, so common points of negotiation, price, terms. All right, so this is a little bit of a story on price and terms. So a couple years ago, I had a client who, they were gonna buy this house. Like, they found this house, it was across the street from theirs. They wanted it for their daughter, they were elderly, they're gonna buy this house, right? It's like, they just go over there and talk to the seller themselves and just buy it, right? So like, they're like for sure gonna buy this house. And so, you know, I'm like, let's keep this to ourselves for a while. Anyway, so I called the listing agent and asked, first thing I do is I say, hello, how are you? Not that I care. But you can get a feeling for the type of agent that they are. You know, I'm a high D. I would say, I'm fine, what do you want? Like, that's me, right? I'm like, all about that. The next person and I would be like, I'm great, you know? I had the best night last night and it was just so much fun and la 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 la. And then you know, right? Or ask, see, that whole thing. Like, you'll get a vibe for the kind of person that they are, which is very important if the negotiations continue, right? So I called the agent, asked how they were, said, you know, I have a client who viewed the home and we're contemplating writing an offer on your listing first. Okay, we've looked at a number of homes and I just wanted to ask you a few questions. So right away you set the tone, like, we have other options, okay? Do you have any offers? Or do you have any written offers? That's the right terminology. And he said, no, we don't have any offers. And I said, well, is there anything that's important to your client? You know, is there a closing date that would be more suitable to them? Or are they, you know, do they need a lease back? Or is there anything that's important to your client? Because the only thing he said to me was, these people are getting a divorce. They are going to incur a capital gain, and they would prefer to close in January. Okay, so this was in early November. So, you know, for a lot of people, that might not work, right? To close in January, 2 months out. But for my clients, they didn't care. You know, their daughter's gonna move in and live across the street from them, and it didn't matter to them at all. And so we were able to negotiate a significant discount just by closing when they wanted to close. Because I knew they had a capital gain, so I knew they weren't like all about the money, money, money. I knew it was more important to them to have the closing be in January. And so we were able to save a lot of money by capitalizing on that information. You know, if I hadn't called him, I wouldn't have known that. We probably would have paid more. So it's not always about the money. All right, the 3 Ps approach. Let me get to the right point here. Oh, okay, good. So the 3 Ps are prepare, present, and position. So prepare. Let's go to the next page. All right, so I'm going to tell you a few things that I had in my notes here, and then I think we're supposed to read a scenario and do some questions. So one thing I wanted to tell you about is do you guys ever listen to Brian Buffini podcasts? Or do you know who he is? Yeah. Okay, so Brian Buffini is a coach in California, real estate coach, and he's got a big company, and they do a podcast weekly that I would recommend that you listen to because it's fantastic content. Anyway, there's a podcast out there called Mastering the Art of Listening. And I listen to it at least twice a year because it's fantastic. And you can learn so much about yourself and your listening skills. I was listening to this morning, as a matter of fact, And if you just want to learn one thing today, this is it. Ask, listen. Because what a lot of real estate agents do is talk and talk more. And someone was going to a listing appointment last night and they were like, I'm not prepared, I'm like, just ask. What's important to you? Because you don't have to have this huge listing presentation to talk about commission and timeline and escrow and comps, and if all they care about is, I don't want to be homeless, I just want to sell this home and have a place to go to, and that's all I care about. Like, how easy is that, right? If you get to that right away, you can focus on what's important to them. You don't even have to open that commission can of worms, right? Because you start talking about commission and they're like, oh yeah, I hadn't thought about commission. And now it's like you wouldn't have even had to have that discussion. You know what I'm saying? So the art of listening is one of the most important fundamental things in negotiation, no matter who you're talking to, clients, other agents, inspectors, lenders, etc., etc. Any questions? So there are a couple of different definitions of negotiating. Some people think that it's persuasion, and other people think that it's trying to get a common goal. So regarding the persuasion comment, and I don't really think that's what it is, but I think it can be, there's the desire for gain and there's the fear of loss. And people are 2.5 times more likely to fear loss than gain. So for example, if you're showing a property to someone, and this happened to me this summer, and they just really had a difficult time making a decision. They were just very, very cautious type C people, and they just anguished over every single decision. And I knew the fear of loss was not the approach to take with her, because you're going to cause more anxiety. She was just anxious over every single thing. And this was at a lake property in Minnesota, and I said to her, as we were standing by the lake, I'm like, can't you just imagine sitting here after this is all done with a glass of wine and looking at this lake? Like, you're going to think you're the smartest person in the world. And it's true, you know, when you do something like this, it's like amazing. And you're going to get to that point too, you know, but this is going to get ugly, and I'm here to help you, but just stay strong and don't worry, because I'm going to look out for you. You know what I mean? So you have to, I don't think that's wrong. Some people think negotiating is wrong and real estate agents are sleazy, but I'm here to help people. And if you come from that approach and listen to people, it all just falls into place. Okay. All right. One other thing. Okay, so we talked a little bit about different things to negotiate. We talked about price, terms. I mentioned closing date for my client who wanted to close at any time, but the seller wanted to close in January. One last thing that I wanted to mention to you, and because my experience has shown this is more important than you get educated on, is earnest money. There's a lot of differing opinions on earnest money, and I think it's important to think about earnest money not lightly, because there's some attitudes out there you want to put down as minimal earnest money as possible to protect your client. So if anything goes wrong, you have not as much skin in the game, so to speak. I have found in representing buyers, if they've got a little bit more money on the table, they're a little more in it. You know, this lady who has anxiety about everything, she got under contract. We got established a price. We got through the inspection. We got through that. Everything's done. The last thing that happened was, oh, there's no easement. You can't technically access your property. Okay? Can you imagine her? Right? So we had to work through that. And you know, it's like there's nothing she can do to solve that problem, right? There's nothing I can do to solve that problem. The only people who can solve that problem are the listing agent and the seller, right? So we can just stand by and hope things work out, right? There's nothing I can do to persuade anybody else. So the story goes on, but the short point is, if she hadn't had so much money down, I think she'd have not been too interested in solving the problem. I think she felt like she was committed because of the dollar amount. And there are agents in Minnesota that $10,000 is the minimum earnest money. Yep. It's like, if you're not gonna be serious, I'm not gonna deal with you. Yep. And it works. I mean, people are like, okay, I'm signing a contract. I'm putting down a lot of money. I'm gonna buy this house. Like, it's a whole mentality. And when things get kind of ugly, as long as you protect them so that they don't lose it at your error, they seem to be more in the game. And so I've tended to round up here in Arizona when it comes to earnest money and ask people to put a little bit more down, unless it's of a hardship or something like that. I think people are generally a little more committed. So I just wanted to bring that up because nobody really ever talks about earnest money, and it's kind of a unknown thing. So one last thing before we go through the exercise is, what do you think is the most important thing when negotiating? Like, say you're gonna buy a car. Okay, you're gonna go buy a new car. You're gonna go to the Ford dealership and you got it all picked out. It's gonna be an Explorer, and you go to the salesman and you're like, okay, I'm interested in buying a Ford Explorer. And he says, oh, well, perfect, that's $42,000. Here's the contract, would you like to sign it? What would be the best approach?
I think you have to be educated so that you know, like, is this a good amount? Like, because if you don't have a baseline,
Yep.
then how, there's nowhere to negotiate from, you know?
Mm-hmm. So in real estate, it would be comps.
Yes.
You'd be educated on the neighborhood. You'd know you'd investigate. You know that some homes in the neighborhood have mountain views and some homes do not, and therefore the homes with mountain views demand a higher price. Now, however, Mr. Seller, your home does not have a mountain view. However, you're asking a mountain view price. So help me to understand how you establish that price. Any other ideas?
Well, and on that point of negotiation with comps, it's really good because you're letting them see everything and then decide what do you think makes sense. So they're not arguing with you because they can see, you know what I mean? That,
Are you talking about the listing agent if I'm representing the buyer, or are you talking about my client?
I think it's just good to have the comps, like the listing, like either on either side,
Okay.
that they know.
That you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So I kind of alluded to the right answer earlier on. Go ahead.
Just kind of knowing what your client's goals are.
Right.
Knowing at what price they're willing to walk away and not get this house.
Yep.
or whatever.
Yep. And that's kind of what I'm after. And it's called BATNA, the best alternative to a negotiated agreement, but I call it Plan B. Right? There's nothing better than a Plan B when you're negotiating. And in this car situation, I'd be like, you know, I did check out the price of a Ford Explorer at Santan Ford, and I know that it's $37,000 there, so that's going to help to have a Plan B. And when I called the listing agent and said, we're thinking about writing an offer on your home first, that alludes to the fact that we have other options. You know, I think that's real in this world, to know that there are other options, but that if you don't have, like the people that I talked about who wanted to buy the house across the street, they were going to buy it no matter what, they didn't have a Plan B. And if you don't have a Plan B, what's the best thing to do? Make up a Plan B. Like okay, if we don't buy this house, we're going to buy this other house that, you know, obviously is for sale and you can discuss it, but even if that's not really what you're going to do, you want to let them know that you have other options in negotiating with the listing agent in this case. All right, so do you guys have your books? Do you have this page 16? Yes? Does that say something like you are representing a single buyer? Okay, so you guys read that. 5 minutes, and we'll ask about the questions when you're done. Is it not page 16?
I think it's 14,
Oh,
I have 16 on mine, but it may be different.
I think there's different editions floating
Yeah.
around. There's like a 2000,
That was it, I think.
Yeah, 16.
there's a 2015
It's page
version.
16 on
Okay.
this one.
All right. That was only 3 minutes, but I know you guys are fast readers. So, what are some things you would ask your client? Go ahead.
I would ask, because what I know about her, she loves the house. There's a lot of activity, it's correctly priced, it's gonna cost her for the roof. I would let her know that, I would educate her that for every $1,000 financed, it costs you roughly $5 a month in repayment. So would you, is it worth for $100 a month, in this case, to come up $20,000 to hit the sale price? Is it worth losing this house? Do you love this house? If you love this house enough, is it worth losing it for the
I like it.
$100 a month?
That's good. That's good. So you would suggest that she write an offer for the 175 and ask for a full roof replacement from the seller,
Okay. Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to pay full price and then fix the roof yourself.
No, exactly, right.
Okay. Good.
That was-
I like it. Go ahead.
I think it's good to know, like, what's the highest you can go or you're willing to go, and what do you love about this house? That's what I was.
What do you love about this house? Go ahead.
I would also just ask her how she came up with that price, like after reviewing the comps with her, like trying to get into her head, and obviously I would be thinking that she's thinking, oh my gosh, it's gonna cost me 20 grand to replace this.
Right.
And then refer her to my vendors list and say, hey, like, let's get a quote on this, and like, so we have realistic numbers to work with.
Got it. So get real about the offer price by using comps, and discount a reasonable amount for the roof, not 20 grand, because it's probably not going to cost 20 grand. So maybe get a couple roof quotes.
Yeah, and I would go back in later to, the sellers with that quote.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Go ahead.
I think going along with what Bob said, she said that she'd like to keep her payments as low as possible, so I want to find out, okay, what is comfortable for you?
Mhm.
Kind of going along with what Bob was told.
And do you have the cash to repair the roof yourself? If she doesn't, you have limited options, right? Now you have to get the seller to, who's gonna pay for it? Not her. Then we only have this option. We have to work with that given, so to speak, right? Okay? So, what would you say when you called the listing agent? Ring, ring, ring.
I love the house, we do have some concerns though.
Okay.
Dot, dot, dot.
Yes.
Mix and match, and yeah.
So you bring up the roof.
Yeah, bring it up and almost like, just, again, tell them or give them the information and then be quiet and see what they say about it.
Exactly right.
Because a lot of times they'll just, yeah, oh, we know about that, or done that, oh, well, we get rid of, whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's-
Just
yeah,
listen.
Just listen.
And it helps to listen too long sometimes. Sometimes, especially Western civilization, do not like silence.
Yeah, exactly.
So sometimes if you don't respond right away, they'll go on and on and on and tell you things they probably shouldn't, and that's okay,
Yeah.
right? Another thing I might do is say, if they say, oh yeah, the roof, we know about the roof, I'm like, have you gotten any estimates? Because they're going to say the roof is $200, right? like your client. And you're going to say, real world is 10,000. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to discuss.
And how would you approach the as-is thing? They're like, oh, we know it's crap, but take it or leave it. That would be.
So I've had this experience, or I had an as-is property, okay, and I had a very experienced buyer's agent call me when I was not a very experienced agent. And so this is kind of how it went. They called me and they're like, "Ma'am, my client's interested in writing an offer on your house, but it needs a lot of repairs." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. That's why it's being listed as is." And they said, "Well, as is just means you're not going to fix anything. It doesn't mean we can't discount for it."
Oh.
And I'm like, I didn't know that. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm like,
Yeah.
is that true?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's something you can throw out there. It might work, it might not, but it's like, it really threw me for a loop as a newer agent. Like, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Just means my client doesn't have the ability or the desire to make any repairs. That's what that means. And usually, I was kind of taking the approach that my price reflects the condition of the home. And, that's probably the approach I would try to take. But, of course, they're negotiating for their investor. And they're going to take a different approach. And they did write an offer, and it was extremely low. But it was not a bad offer.
Yeah.
But my client, of course, disagreed with me. And that's one of my biggest shortcomings as a real estate agent is I want every deal to work out. Like, I hate when people just walk away and say, "Oh, that's not the house for us," and I'm like, "Oh, you're kidding me," right? I want everybody. I know you cannot control other people, and I say it every day. I wish I could control other people. Because you cannot. You can influence, you can persuade, you can be logical, but you cannot control other people. And sometimes that's the answer. You walk away. And you just hope that they move forward on a different property and that you can, still help them somehow.
That's what wine is for.
That's what wine is for. Good Lord. And, I have found, when you call the other agent, and this is kind of an interesting story about that I'll share with that Paula experienced. Sometimes you'll get an ally, right? Sometimes they'll be like, oh, I'm so glad you called. Nobody ever calls. Everybody just texts and emails, and I never get to talk to anybody. And oh, my clients are so happy they're going to la 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 la. And you're just like, well, we're friends now,
Yeah.
right? So I'm going to capitalize on our friendship. And I can give the smallest concession and get back a bigger concession, right? Because we're friends, you know, and it works. It really does. You can come from the approach of contribution, like, okay, I know you want a delayed closing date, and we're happy to comply with that. However, because of that, we're going to have some additional costs, and therefore, we're only able to offer blah. Is that something that your client's going to be willing to work with? Well, you know, she's already on your side, or he's already on your side, you know, so you can use, it helps to call. And it used to be you'd have face-to-face, back in the old days, you'd have face-to-face offers presented, and the sellers would be there, and both agents would be there, and that was the best, because then you could get, you know, what do you call that when people are body language? Yeah, you could like start to mimic their body language, or, you know, do things to help persuade them. But now we just have the phone, and you should use the phone. You should call them, because
It's good to be old school that way in today's day and age.
I mean, you can be collaborative, and you know, there's 3 types of negotiators. There's competitive, those are the win-lose people, and there's collaborative, those are the win-win people, and then there's lose-win. And I actually have a deal right now where the other agent just wants the deal to get done. They don't care. Like, they don't answer their phone. It's like, I just tell them what it's going to be, and they're like, okay. So you can stand out. You know, they say there's however many thousand real estate agents in Arizona. Answer your phone, listen to your clients, ask questions. It's really that simple. It really is. So,
I saw one of them cleaning a house at Open Door yesterday. She told me,
who was cleaning the house?
an ex-realtor who was cleaning up houses for Open Door. So it's just a reminder.
Why was she doing that?
That's who she works for now, instead of real estate.
Oh, that was her job.
That's her job now.
Oh, interesting.
It was.
I hope it pays better. Right? All right, so let's see. So we did that. Okay, we read the scenario. Oh, are we going to do any positioning? Okay. So we talked a little bit about, you came up with some suggestions, like as far as the roof repair, and we talked about that. So is there, so positioning is actually, and this is from my C&E training, there's a, I'll draw it out for you if I can find a marker, or maybe there's none. There's stand. There's area of concern. And there's motivator. Stand is positioning in that I'm not taking anything less than $250,000. We're not going to pay any higher than a 5% commission, right? People take a stand, and it's through question and listening that you can identify what the real motivator is. So, okay, I hear that you're saying that you don't want to pay any higher than 5% commission. So, correct me if I'm wrong, that means it's important for you to net a certain dollar amount. Okay? So then I get out my calculator and I say, okay, so we're talking about 1% here. 1% on $250,000 is what? $2,500. I can assure you that I will net you $2,500 more because of my ability to negotiate, my ability to save you money on vendors, my staging person who's going to come in and help you get this house ready for sale. We're going to do flyers, open house, marketing, Facebook, da 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 da. you've like, okay, I've solved that problem for them. I've got to their motivator, right? So, whatever their stand is, you have to ask questions and listen to answer the problem. You can go on and on and on about your marketing, but if that's not what they're concerned about, it's a waste of everybody's time, right? So, something interesting happened to Paula and I on our offer this weekend. Paula used her Open Door app to let the people in, our clients. We were all together, me, Paula, and our clients. And after my clients saw the house, they decided to write an offer on it, right? So I called the listing agent and I asked how they were, even though I don't care. And I said, do you have any current written offers on the property? And they're like, no, we don't, right? So we looked at the house on Saturday. Paula used her app to open the door. On Sunday, the clients went back on their own just to look at the home again a second time, right? And they used the app to get in because they didn't need me, right? So then, as soon as I make that call to ask if they have any offers, boom, out comes this email. See if I can read it to you.
It came to me.
Yeah, let's see if I have it pulled up here. Okay. Coincidence? I think not. Thanks for checking out our home at blah, 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 Flower Court. We've received a lot of interest in this home. So we'll be closing it to further offers at noon tomorrow. If you're interested in making an offer, you can reach us at blah, blah, blah. They sent that email to every person that opened that door, right? In the last week, probably, or maybe forever. I don't know, right? So how does that make you feel? What would your response to that be?
Well, you already called, right?
Huh?
You already called on it, right? So you already
We
knew that
knew
was
it
an
was-
automatic email.
It came to me from my app.
But it wasn't sent to me.
And she didn't get it.
I never used the app.
About the offer.
Right, okay.
I never used the app.
And so they had no way of knowing that we were together.
Right.
So I sent her the email and said, hey, look what I got.
Huh.
So they're trying to light a fire under me.
Yeah.
Look, this is scarcity. You're gonna lose out. We're gonna pull this, you're gonna miss out.
They're trying to get a plan B
Right.
to my offer that they know is coming in, right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to create a fire under you.
And right. And so and this isn't typically, but that email went to my client too because they opened the door themselves on Sunday, right? And that probably happens all the time, right? People go with their agent and then they're like, let's go back and look without her so we don't have to feel the pressure of the real estate agent, So they're getting that email as well saying, oh, there's so much interest, da-da-da-da-da, right? Yeah. And so my response was, stay professional, stay calm. This is just BS, right? It's your job to not react to things like that.
Yeah.
It's like they told me they didn't have any other offers. We've submitted our offer. Play ball, right?
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I
and-
felt like it gave you an edge knowing that they were doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, we must be the only offer in town.
In a way, it's like,
Yeah. It worked totally to your advantage because they didn't know that you were together. Interesting.
right. And then, okay, so let's see if I can find my emails here. So we made an offer. They countered. We countered again, and then they kind of stayed where they were. And they said, yeah, we're not going to come down anymore. So I wrote them an email. So people think you can't really negotiate with Open Door. I wrote them an email, and I said, our offer was 96.45% of your list price.
Oh, wow.
Because they had reduced their list price because they've had this home for over 100 days.
Oh, interesting.
Right?
Yes.
Like, my clients really like the home and they think it's perfect. However, this is our final offer, like, I'm sorry. And we were $8,000 apart on a $240,000 home, which is pretty significant, right? And every email they had sent to me was like, oh, we have so much interest. And I'm like, yeah, but it's all us in the same party, right? Right? It's Paula and the client and her. And it's like, it's just us. It's just us. Like, and so they kept saying, oh, we've had so much interest. We've had so much interest since the price reduction. And I'm like, good for you.
Yeah.
I like that. Good for you. I'm glad you've had a lot of interest. Any written offers?
Yeah.
No?
I think it's really interesting because the house was listed at $254.
Yep.
After they reduced it. And the client,
We bought the house for $245.
yes. And everybody that has heard that said, I didn't know.
Hello.
How's it going, Beth?
It's going great. How are you?
We're good.
Are you taking a tour?
We're doing a tour.
Just.
Good. Well, welcome. Do you want to sit in on negotiating class?
Hi.
Yeah, we want to negotiate.
I have a quick question.
Sure, go ahead.
You said you called the listing agent. Now say it wasn't open door. Say,
Wasn't open
but say it wasn't. Say you call another listing agent, you say any written offers. Say you're the listing agent. And the
Okay.
buyer calls you
Okay.
and asks you how you're doing.
I'm doing fine.
And go.
Any written offers. We saw this house. Love, my client, we've seen other houses, blah, blah, blah,
Yep.
we want to make a first offer on yours. Do you have any other written offers?
No, we currently have no written offers.
Okay, you say that.
I do.
Okay.
I'm honest.
Okay.
Other agents
Yeah.
may or may not be honest.
Okay.
Liars.
But even Open Door was honest, I mean,
Yeah.
you know. so
Yeah, they said we have no
hopefully-
written offers. I mean, conversely, this on Saturday, when we split up, the clients and I, they went their way, I went my way. They're like, yeah, we want to write an offer on some other property. Jacinto, or it started with the J, letter J. And I called the listing agent, and he didn't answer. And I left a message. And then I did a text saying, I left you a voicemail message. My clients are interested in writing an offer on your property at blah, blah, blah. Please call me back or something along those lines. Letting him know I did leave a message and it's regarding an offer, so please call me back. Like, that, you'd probably do that,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I didn't hear back from him until Monday afternoon. And we had already written an offer on a different house.
What day was that?
I texted and called him Saturday after we looked at all the houses. Didn't hear back till Monday afternoon. We met here at the office Monday morning with the client and decided to write an offer on a different house.
And your thing would probably expire, if it had expired, the offer by then, didn't it?
We didn't write it.
Oh.
I only called to see if they had any other written
Oh,
offers.
I see, okay.
And he did not even respond, and I'm kind of like, you're gonna be a pain,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's probably for most of them,
Yeah, but and then I'm like, I was in script practice the following day, and I was mentioning it to Danette, and she's like, well, he's a crappy agent, or, something like these. There's a lot of crappy agents. I'm like, yeah, but he's not the listing.
Yeah.
How did he get the
He didn't
listing?
tell you it was his mother.
That's what Danette said, probably a relative, or something like that.
His
Yeah.
mother-in-law, ex-husband.
All right.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Close enough, but far enough not to really care about missing offers.
So it's a shame.
And there's so much of that. I still, there's a lot of people that say, I turn my phone off at 6 o'clock and I don't and I don't, it's like, I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not about responding to texts at 10 o'clock at night or all that, but to just shut your phone off on Saturday and not return any calls till Monday afternoon, that's not in your client's best interest. You can have all the time blocking and balance and all that, but
Yeah, that's a lot,
you know what I mean. He's not doing the best for his client.
But really, who looks at houses on Saturdays or something?
I think he's being.
And has two thumbs. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That was a crazy idea.
Yeah,
8?
8.
What's that?
We only looked at 8.
Is that how many we looked at?
Yes.
And that's a bad idea, just because people start to glaze over.
Yeah.
And they made an offer on the very first one.
That's almost every time.
And they said that this is perfect. This is exactly what we want. I'm like, well, let's not drive. Let's just go drink beer and not look at.
That's so
Right? Yeah. Like, let's write it up. Like, we don't have to drive around. It's like, yeah, but his wife is what I call her a Zillow cowboy. She's like on there all. It's like, oh, I want to look at this house. 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 And I'm like, that is not in your search criteria. Your search criteria is only single level homes, and this is a 2-story.
Yeah.
Would you like me to adjust your search? Right?
Yeah.
So we looked at 8 houses that day, and they're supposed to be single stories, but she put in a 2-story, and we looked at it, and that's the one they wanted to write an offer on. That's the agent who didn't return my call. And it was just a beat down 2-story house for $250,000. I'm like, you can buy them all day long.
Yeah, any.
Old rental house that's got a crappy roof and an old air conditioner and shitty windows. Like, if that's what you want, why didn't you say so?
Yeah. Makes it a lot easier.
And you know what I mean? Like,
And a foam painted fireplace hearth.
yeah, they had like a tile surround on their fireplace, and they painted it black with gold sponge painting.
No.
And Paula kept saying, well, there's new carpet. The carpet's new. Yeah, funny stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it had a pass-through fireplace.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's good stuff. Okay, so we talked a little bit about positioning. Okay, let's go back to the 3 Ps. I want to make sure that you understand how important that is, because
Okay, so they were
3 Ps: prepare, present, and position.
Okay. So we're talking about the third one.
And so I want to just review them, because those are pretty important, and that's pretty much the same thing they teach you in negotiating class. In preparing, who do they mean prepare?
Be prepared.
Me, the agent? I should be prepared?
You should educate and prepare your clients.
Yep. It doesn't just mean me. It doesn't just mean me become familiar with the neighborhood and do the comps and figure out what I think a good price is. To prepare them as well, because they don't have any idea about what buying a house is like, and that is so true. I mean, they watch HGTV and they go on Zillow, but to them, it's emotional and overwhelming sometimes. I mean, there's very few people that don't get emotional about this house. This lady, actually, this is kind of an interesting story. So I represented, that's a really long story too, but the short story is, I represented this buyer, and she found a house, and she was in a really bad situation with her current house, and so against all advice, I recommended a pre-possession agreement, okay? Because she had to get out of where she was. She was gonna have to move into a hotel because her current situation was so bad. She had planned to buy this home for sale by owner, and it went south, and she was living in the house already, and so the homeowner's like, if you're not gonna buy it, you gotta get out, right? And so we had to get out. And so I talked to the listing agent, and I'm like, here's the deal. She's in a bad situation. She really needs a pre-possession agreement. We'll pay this much rent. We'll put this down deposit. La 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 la. She's like, it happened to be that the listing agent was also the owner, and she's also the lose-win agent, right? So she said, yeah, it's all good. Go ahead, move in, even before the inspection. So.
What?
I know. I'm just like.
I think we have a bad connection.
So we all move in, and
We all move in.
So the listing agent / owner is going to be there. My client is the buyer / tenant, and I show up just to police the action, right?
That's crazy.
I know, it's totally crazy. And so the buyer says, and this is a clear example. Buyer says, when I walked into this house, she's saying this to the listing agent / owner, I almost cried. It's so beautiful. It's like the perfect house for me. And my sister, she started to cry too, because she knew it was perfect. And I'm just like, and then the seller said, I know, I love that you love the house. It's so great that you ended up buying my house. I think it's like a sign or something. And they're getting all, and I'm standing over there, and they look at me, and I'm like, nothing.
Your deep personality.
yeah, nothing. I don't care about the house. It's like, and so it was so funny because she just laid it all out on the table for.
There's all our complaints.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. So.
You just joined the group hug?
No, I'm just like, and they're like, you don't get emotional about houses? I don't even get emotional about my house. Like, it's just a house. So,
Oh my god.
it was funny. It was funny. It was so funny. Anyway, we
We got a real sheet now.
yes.
Did you get yelled at for the other one? From her, yeah. She's so
That was
mean.
very interesting. I didn't know all that about prepossession.
Prepossessions are bad, and don't do it unless you have to. And the reason
Maybe
is,
addendum A, just in case.
Yeah, it's definitely.
lenders don't like it. Lenders do not like it at all. And
I could just see all the problems that could come from that. A lot fall out if the person's already living there. I thought you were gonna say, because she was so lovey-dovey about the house, that somehow they renegotiated the price or something because she was so in love with it, but.
they didn't, not to my knowledge. But the reason, and I've had this happen before, is in a prepossession, the people agree to move in, they pay rent, they get moved in, they realize the neighbor is a crab, and their dog barks all night, and they're like, hell no, I don't care if I lose my money, I'm out of here. Like, the deal falls apart. So,
If something breaks while they're in there. just
yeah,
not
there's
one
that,
day.
there's insurance, there's somebody falls and breaks their leg, I mean, there's a million reasons to not do it, and so,
The house burns down.
But this was a 1 in a million.
it really was.
situation.
It was,
It
and
was.
I don't know, I was against my better judgment, but I thought, and you know, it's like, I know it's wrong to do that, and there's no, Jim Kellner would be like, don't do it, but I'm like, I know that's what my client needs, right?
Well, so that they're not homeless.
And I drafted the prepossession agreement, you know what I mean, so, in an effort to protect my client, so that it wasn't skewed to the landlord / owner.
That's awesome. It worked out.
Well, we close day after tomorrow, fingers crossed.
Oh, working out right now. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, right now.
Keller Williams Mortgage.
Yeah, so that's another thing. I don't know if you guys are really plugged into Keller Mortgage, and I don't get any money from Keller Mortgage, of course. But so when we were negotiating, my buyer needed some seller concessions and a lower price. She needed those two things, and the seller said, "I'll give you one or the other. You want the low price, or you want the seller concessions, right? That's fair." And so I said to my client, even though she had a lender relationship, I said, you know, if you apply with Keller Mortgage, you will save, and she did, $5,900 on your loan. So she was able to get the low price and save on her loan, right? And then I got to make the call to her lender,
Oh, oops.
right?
Sorry, dude.
Yeah,
I
not,
think you should tell them what he said. You handled it very well, but I think they need to be prepared if they ever have to have.
I said, you know, I don't even know what I said, something along the lines of, you know, we had a choice between low price and seller concessions, and so we chose low price, and because of my relationship with Keller Mortgage, she was able to save $5,900
That's a lot.
in closing costs. And I want you to know that I did recommend to her that she bring that back to you and ask you for the opportunity to match it. And I don't know if she did or not, but we're moving forward with Keller Mortgage, and I'm sorry. And he said something like, well, I guess I know not to who to refer business to in the future.
Have you ever
Like you
anyways?
would anyway, seriously.
So
Unbelievable.
I said, to him, I understand your position, and I will not hesitate to refer people to you in the future.
Aw, that's.
And I did. I sent his name to a buyer this week.
That's cool.
Maybe,
Yeah.
they'll probably still hate me, but what can you do? I mean, I don't know what else to do.
Maybe you can call him a second time with another Keller Mortgage.
Yeah, exactly. Guess what? It's me again. Exactly. Oh, that's so funny.
Okay, you guys want to take a break? Unless you have any questions, the only other thing I have is a little activity, which we did when I went to negotiation class, in that we split into two groups, buyer's agents, seller's agents. You get a subject property with comps. You split up, buyer's agents go in one room, seller's agents go in another room. You each get a side of the story, because they're not the same, right? Your example in your book is cool, but you know both
The other
sides, so you know what the deal is. In this situation, you don't know the other side of the deal, which is real world, right?
You are true.
And so what happened in, because I think I'm a pretty good negotiator, but I got my butt whipped in this exercise by Robin Rotella in this office. And so it's kind of cool. It's a cool, we're going to do this after the break. If you want to do it, great. If you don't, that's fine too. But we keep track, the buyer's agent who secures the lowest price and the listing agent who secures the highest price, right? So there's going to be two winners, a buyer's agent and a seller's agent. Well, we're going to be out of here early today. Cool. You guys want to take a break or do you want to get started?
I know we eat.
Or, yep, oh, I know. If we're, now that you're further away, it's harder to take, since you moved over.
It just works out well, because I have an appointment, I have to leave by just after, in about an hour, I have to go.
We'll be out of here then.
Okay.
Yeah, unless, you know, things
Yeah,
get crazy.
no, that
Full-fledged battle.
Yeah,
That will right
that
out.
worked
So
out
I
well.
have my book. I always bring it every day, and then like you never open it, and it's like I don't need it today. And then
Oh, no
we were
worries.
reading stuff in the book. I was like, man.
Yeah, I
No,
find
it's
that,
okay.
you know what, every instructor is so
So
different.
different.
I haul my laptop for the longest time, I mean, it's in my car, but I finally stopped bringing that because, yeah, why haul everything? I don't know.
Who's been the best instructor so far? What's been the best class?
You know, I've taken this more than once and there's just lots of it varies every time.
And it's always different instructors too.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
one that I enjoy just doing, like, because I've done it a couple times too. I really like Craig Klaus,
Oh, yeah.
his CMAs.
Yeah. He's so smart.
Every time I learn something different, even though I feel like he's done it so many times, he just does the same thing. But I always learn something different in there.
Mm-hmm.
This is my
I've
first
heard
time
him
taking
once.
this class, and I really like it.
Thanks.
Cause I haven't done a deal yet,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like it's kind of nice, like hearing a little negotiating. I'm on Tia Moore's team,
Mm-hmm.
and like Tia, she just is always like working stuff out
This is what
there.
you do,
and
this is what you do.
Yeah, and I'm just like, but how, like my whole thing is how do you know like all of this stuff? So she's like, you just need to do. And I was like, I know.
It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. It is when you're a new agent. It's just like,
I'm a facts person. Like I need to know everything before I do. And she's like, no, you just need to do it. Okay.
I know. It sucks because, you know, the fact is if you wait till you know every single thing,
Yeah. She's like,
you'll
you'll
run
never
out of
do
money.
it. Yeah.
You'll be like, this isn't cutting it.
She's like, you learn as you do it, and if you have questions, that's what I'm here for. So I was like, okay, well, just come with me everywhere, because
Right,
people are
right.
gonna ask me things that I don't know.
And you know what? I mean, you'll say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
It'll happen. It's just the way it is. I still say the wrong thing. Like, after I see it, I'm like, well, that's gonna open up a can of worms. How am I gonna get out of this one? You know, like, oh, I shouldn't have said it. So, you know, and only one time can I think of a time, and I've been working towards talking less at like a listing appointment. Like, what's important to you? And then let them talk. Like, only recently did I not talk enough. And he said, well, you know, I'm interviewing some other agents, and I just want to make sure I get someone who's got local knowledge. Local knowledge? Are you kidding me? There's nobody who's got more local knowledge than me. You know what I mean? Like, I never even talked about local knowledge because he didn't bring it up till the end. And then I felt like I was having to, you know,
Yeah.
get back in the game. And it's like, and so coincidentally, this is in a neighborhood that I farm, but he doesn't live there. He does a rental house, so he doesn't really know.
Yeah.
He doesn't get my stuff. The neighborhood newspaper was rolled up and shoved in his trellis. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh yeah, you want to see local knowledge? I pulled the newspaper out of his trellis and I opened it up to my ad in his paper. And I'm like,
That's
I have sold 12 houses in
Oh
this
my gosh, I
neighborhood in the last 2 years.
Oh, thank you.
So, like, I was like, oh. It's like, you're always looking at what you want but I should have asked more questions, really, you know, but, you know.
Here we had Heather Openshaw had a class on Monday, and just, I don't even remember what the title of the class was, but just like the discovery questions she asked to get down to like, it was insane. Cause we did the exercise and she's like, okay, to ask them like their 3 questions, and then she'd have like the follow-up questions to ask to find out like what the real motivation is to buying or selling. And it was insane like what we would get down to. Like I just, like the discovery, so yeah. So that one was really like eye-opening to me, cause people might say, oh, I'm moving cause I'm relocating, but there could be ulterior like motivations. It's not just cause you're relocating for a job, you also might be looking for this house because you have a family of 5, and for that family of 5 you have like a special needs, or you know what I mean, like just the additional discovery questions that you may not have thought of, because you're just like, oh yeah, they're just moving here for a job.
You just assume.
And do, you know, so it was just crazy, like the paths like she would go down and get to these things I would never even thought about. So it was eye-opening.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, I really, you love the class.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was like Mindy's.
Mindy's good. Yeah, she's so smart.
So smart. Yes. Can you just break down everything you're writing for me so like I can just rattle those like stats off to people?
Yeah, can you just give me a little flash drive that I stick into my face?
If only that were a thing.
I know.
Have it.
I know, that'd be awesome.
And then Christine are coming at 11.
At what time? We'll be done by then, I think.
I don't remember bringing a scan and everything, that was the whole point of them coming.
Oh, okay.
Now I guess it's to go over the effort.
So,
And then he also gave me this other tracking sheet, it's like a big thing, but it basically just breaks down your whole business.
I started thinking about it yesterday, you know, he sends those reminders.
And I'm like,
Part-
and then after
This
the
part's
first
where I'm
month or
100%
a year or whatever.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we're back.
Formula, I need to do exactly this to get this, and then the following year.
All right, one thing I didn't cover that is in the book that we should discover, just should cover before we get into the exercise, is different tactics.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if you guys have this in your book, or if you don't have your book, then.
With this one,
Do you ever, have you ever experienced any of these tactics? Nibbling, hot potato, good guy, bad guy, nibbling? What's an example of nibbling? Since once your client has agreed upon one major concession, the other party will start nibbling for additional smaller concessions. Oh, by the way, can I get a home warranty too?
Oh, like once you show that you're willing to agree to something.
Yeah, like then they
you-
just like-
you order, yeah.
Yeah. So what's a good strategy if you have a nibbler? If your client's a nibbler, or maybe the other agent's a nibbler, like, yeah, I'll sell you the house and it's this price and da-da. Oh, can we get a home warranty too? Oh, can we move the closing date out? Oh, can, yeah. Or what I do is I nibble back. Yeah, you can have a home warranty, but I guess we'd like to keep the refrigerator. You know, or, you know, you can't get something without giving something, you know, you nibble back. So that's one approach. Hot potato, the other party tries to pass a problem onto you. For example, the co-op agent tries to pass all closing costs onto your client because the client just can't afford it. What's a good response to that person, to that claim? My client can't afford any closing costs, so we're gonna ask the seller to pay for them. Well, how would you respond to that? It's in the written offer. You ask questions. Ask questions. How much closing, how many closing costs can you afford to pay? What makes you say that? Start asking questions. They bring you this big problem and they give it to you and they expect you to just solve it. Like, you know, it's not for me to solve, it's for us to solve, so I'm gonna ask you some questions. Why is it important to you? I like that. You know, you can get to the bottom of the solution by asking questions. Good guy, bad guy, probably call that good cop, bad cop. Two people working together, a husband and wife will take opposite roles. One appears friendly and considerate while the other behaves in an aggressive manner. Think of a typical car salesman who says his manager will let him reduce the price. Has that ever happened to anybody?
Yes, I used to be a car salesperson.
You used to be a car salesperson?
Yeah. I only worked for Mercedes for like a couple months because it was so intense sales-wise, and it was all men, and they just screamed at each other all the time. I couldn't handle it. But literally, you were taught that, do the walk away, do the I have to check, and then you go in, so yeah, we're just gonna kill some time, and da-da-da, whatever, it's a total scam. So now, buying a car, I have an edge.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Super interesting.
So this is the second time we've heard that, because one of our clients is a car salesman.
Yeah.
Or person, she's a woman.
And I used to be.
And Pally,
you did just
so it's like, because you all say the same thing, it's like, so intense.
Yeah.
What's intense? Like,
The management is
Oh, the
what's so
management's
intense.
intense.
Yeah,
Yes.
so like we had weekly sales meetings every Friday morning, whatever, and you'd literally go in and it would be all these people in a room like screaming at each other like, you didn't do this, or your production, well, F you, and blah, 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 and I'm not doing that, and, or we
You
need to
stole
do
my
this,
client.
and,
Yeah.
yeah, like, it was always the pressure, and like, you need to meet your targets and don't let them walk out the door without doing this, and if you do, you're horrible, and like, they're buying a $50,000, $60,000, whatever dollar car, like, it's not one day. So,
right, they need to buy it that
But
first.
you
first-
have to sell it on the first visit,
Yeah, exactly.
because
Don't let them walk out.
the odds go against you,
Yeah, the more they
the
leave.
more distance.
Crazy.
So
So
always
you
walk
say
away.
you're not making a dime on this car, you
Oh,
really.
yeah.
You're way making, yeah, they're making at least $3,000 to $5,000.
But it's all on the back end, you don't see it.
Right, but they adjust your trade-in value
Yeah.
one way or the other.
Oh, totally, yeah, it's all rigged, everything.
I think it really helps. I think it really helps, like, when I've negotiated for a car,
Yeah,
if you really are willing to walk out.
yeah,
I think they sense that.
Yeah.
If you're serious, like, no, this is my bottom line and that's it. And they can sense when you're serious or when they can keep, like, you know.
Yeah.
and literally when I moved to Arizona, I bought a car, walked out, and on the drive home, oh, well, you know, if you come back in today and da-da-da, we'll reduce it. Yeah, of course you will. You'll do the same tomorrow, don't worry.
Well, I think your experience is gonna be helpful in your
Yeah.
real estate career.
Yeah. Me and my dad have a game about it where like make the salesman cry whenever we go in to buy a new car. It's like a game. How much can we squeeze them?
Right. So in that listening podcast, so I just did something amazing, okay, just now.
Yeah.
Like you're telling a story about buying a car, and I have a car buying story too. But I resisted the urge to share my story because in mastering the art of listening, I take away from you, I take away from your story by telling my story right away. Like, oh, that's nothing, listen to this, right? So when you do that to your client,
That's so good.
that's amazing, right? Like, you have to resist the urge to one up or share your story or solve their problem for them, or tell them like, oh, that's wrong. This is how it should be. Judgment, right?
Yeah.
Or have you ever met a person that was waiting to respond?
Yeah.
Like they're not listening to you. They're just waiting to talk.
Exactly.
Like all that's covered in the mastering the art of listening.
Yeah.
And I think between that and answering your phone, like that's all, all you need to know in real estate is answer your phone and learn to listen to people.
So true.
And you know, I'm not a big scripts person. I like the idea of having a planned response, but I'm not all about that canned response. I'd like to be authentic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I know Keller Williams is big on scripts, and this is how you handle this, and this is what you say when this happens, and this is what you do when somebody calls your sign, and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm all about being prepared and being able to ask and answer questions, but I'm not about being fake.
Yeah.
And so in listening and I recommend you listen to that podcast, is people will refer you. I mean, you won't have to spend money on leads and cold calling and all the things that you maybe really don't want to do if you just get 5 leads a year from people who you sold to last year. It's that easy. Like, she's great. She's not like other real estate agents. She listens. She negotiated on my behalf. Like, she did the things that were important. She didn't have all this talking, you know. So it's a different approach, but it works. And it's like, I can sleep at night because I know I'm authentic to myself. You know, it's not like I'm doing the canned response. You know. Yeah. Okay, so back to a few. I'm going to add a couple from my negotiating class. Limited authority. I can't make that decision. I have to talk to my wife. I have to talk to my husband. Right? How do you deal with that one, car salesman?
You don't actually. Oh, should we call them right now? Let's get them on FaceTime.
Exactly.
Show them the car.
Exactly. It's best to deal with the decision maker from the get-go. Find out who the decision maker is. And Danette has this story that she does when she takes people out to look at houses. She'll get in the car and she'll say, okay, I'm going to need someone to be my co-pilot and, you know, look at the properties as we go. You know, like, and whoever speaks is the decision maker. It might not be the person that gets in the front seat. It might not be the person that gets in the back seat. But it's the person that says, oh, you get in the front seat, honey. That's the decision maker, the one that talks. And so it may be uncertain from time to time, but it's important to deal with the decision maker.
You could say, like, interesting, your wife trusted you enough to send you to the car dealership today to talk to me then. You know, she obviously, if your wife trusts you enough,
Yeah, let's call her.
yeah.
If he says, yeah, that's a great response, I like it. Like, calling him out on it. So. Okay, intimidation is silence. I kind of alluded to that at some point, like you just be quiet, the other person will just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. I come from a family where weeks could go by where we don't talk to each other, and so it's never worked with me. I used to have an employer, and he was a developer, home builder, commercial real estate. He was like that guy, you know, who was like, tell me where to sign. Like, he was always doing things, and I was his controller. So I was his accountant for his whole company. And we had a weekly meeting, a lunch meeting, whatever day it was, Thursday. And he'd show up, and he wouldn't say a word. That was his strategy, to get me to go, well, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, you know, like expecting me to, he would just speak, he wouldn't say a word the whole lunch, sit in complete silence. And he had no idea that that's how I grew up. And I would sit in complete silence. For a whole hour, we would sit in silence, and then we'd get up and leave. Week after week after week. And pretty soon he just started bringing his inbox and going through his inbox at our lunch because I wasn't talking and he wasn't talking. So then I started bringing my inbox. And then we just did our inboxes at lunch together. Eventually we started to talk, but that was his, and he admitted that's his whole strategy in being a developer, being a home builder, is just like.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, I grew up in a family where weeks could go by we didn't talk to each other. Doesn't bother me in the least. So that was a funny story. And then walk away. It's hard. It's hard to see your clients walk away, and I struggle with it. I hate to see it happen because I've got a lot of time and effort invested in the deal, but sometimes that's what's best for them. And you have to think about that. So I'm going to tab these out. If there's a property and there's statistical market analysis, everybody gets one. And then, does anybody have a preference on whether they're a listing agent or a buyer's agent?
There you go.
Oh, thank you.
Since I don't have a preference, maybe we could work out where I get an easier one.
I'm sorry. What do you mean an easier one?
I know.
They're all the same.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so in
I
fact,
was just trying to negotiate, because I don't have a preference, I'm a buyer's agent, I was using that to my advantage.
I like
Trying
it. I like
to
it.
work it.
I like it. I like your hat.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't get
I know, we're doing it because I hate to say it, but you're the oddball. Would you like, I'm just teasing you. Do you want to be buyer or listing?
Surprise me.
Eeny, meeny, miny.
All right, so we're gonna take 5 minutes. No talking, because we're gonna split then. Listing agents in one room, buyer's agents in another room. And the buyer's agent is gonna call, you're gonna, as a group, buyer's agents are gonna make a call to someone on the listing agent side, and you're gonna ask questions, right?
Are we working as a team, like the buyer's agents are working together?
So initially, you're gonna work as a team. All the buyer's agents are gonna go to a room together, maybe devise your list of questions. Okay. What's that? Brainstorm. Yep. The listing agents are gonna do the same in their own space. Then the someone from the buyer's team is gonna call someone from the listing team and ask their questions. Okay? You're gonna get the questions answered, you're gonna hang up, you're gonna prepare to meet with the buyer's agent. Then you're gonna pair up. Okay, you're gonna meet with Jeff, you're gonna meet with him, blah, blah, blah. And then you're gonna negotiate. And the listing agent who gets the best price and the buyer's agent who gets the lowest price are the winners. Okay?
Okay.
So take a couple minutes and just read through your scenario. Now, the listing agent has a different scenario than the buyer's agent, of course, because that's real world, right? So you don't have the same information as the listing agents have different information than the buyer's agents.
Did you just make this up this morning?
Well, when I did this exercise at negotiating school, I was the listing agent. So I pretty much copied the listing agent stuff from that. I never did get the buyer's side, so I kind of made up the buyer's side. But yeah, I did just make it up this morning.
I was super impressed.
And so the property is where I live. And the so you'll read through the comps and you're gonna represent your client. So we'll just give you 5 minutes and then we'll split into groups. All right. So we're gonna split into two groups. Who's gonna be the buyer's rep? That means you have to give your phone number to the lead of the listing side. Paula, okay, thank you for volunteering.
I'm a lister.
Oh, you're a lister, okay.
That's why I was
I don't know this buyer who wants to be
Oh,
the.
you're gonna be the, our listing.
Okay, so get Paula's phone number.
Okay?
And we're gonna go in another room, we're gonna visit,
Hey,
and
Paul,
they're gonna
what's your
call.
sign?
That's my fine.
That's how I started. I don't know. Antiquated.
You haven't
That,
been out in a
how,
while, have you?
how the heck old are you?
He's been married a long time.
So this is the subject property right here. This is Trilogy, this is where I live. Queen Creek, Power Road, Wrecker Road, and then Ocotillo on the southbound. So this property is right here. And the reason I'm telling you this is because when you come in the Queen Creek Road and down this Ranch House Road, right here is where the guard shack is. And you have to go through a gate to get to here, and then you have to go through another gate to get right here. So this property has a lot of people driving behind it, stopping, going, Good to know, right? Okay, so buyers, let's go in another room. We'll go out here, let's shut the door.
Okay, guys.
Well, all I have to say is you should have taken my number off.
Were they all, were the only three listings? No. Interesting.
How fun is this gonna be?
So fun. Okay.
Yes, I'm a buyer, that's why I'm hanging out here. Find out.
Sabotage!
Thanks for stopping by.
This open house
See
is
you
closed.
soon.
Okay, so
Should have taken that 540. Oh well, water in the fridge now.
Okay.
Did you notice that it's the same house they sold, listing 1 and 3 are the same.
Those are the same address.
Well, that's interesting, but they're different MLS numbers.
Well, see, one of them closed in February of 2018, then it closed again.
In June
So I don't know.
of the same year, that's strange. Is it like offer plan or like a flip?
And it looks like it's flip because it went from 329 to 390.
Yeah.
So that was my first,
Interesting, yeah.
I like patterns.
Yeah, totally, no, that's really good.
Wait, the list price when it went in February was $297.5, and then is the $329.9?
It actually sold for 270.
Hey, you did lock me up.
Oh, yay.
Oh, there's the
We're
sale.
noticing that one
There's
of
the
three
sale price.
says-
We only have 3 minutes?
Oh,
Some people wanna get out here by 11.
Oh, my goodness, okay.
and Christie texted me they won't be here at 11.
Okay.
So obviously we'll see what kind of questions they have for us, but I figured if the MLS data states the average selling price is 96%.
That's
we-
450.
Yeah, that's 456, so we can't go lower than that, so we
Right, right.
Right, and, the average days on market in the area, is what I think we're right in the. Yeah, so we're under average days on market, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect, so that's all.
Where's average days on
Yeah.
I'm not super used.
These ones, it's in here overall, and then average days on market is.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yesterday, Barbara got that offer.
She's like close to 93, so yeah, so we're under days on market, if they ask about that, trying to use this negotiation. 96% is the thing, which is great.
And I said, oh, I saw that video, the one you're supposed to put on your
And
personal
then
page.
if they want, if they still owe 200,000 on your mortgage, we need to get, what, like at least,
I know. It's hard to get.
like, we need to get over 4 for sure.
Yeah, well, cause they're using, their needs are that they need to be able to buy something free and clear.
Right, and then how much do you think we should share about the buyer, or about our seller when they ask? Like,
Let's say,
I know.
yeah, they're a super sweet couple, they're fairly motivated, but not crazy, because they do need to, they're buying, I would even just say, because they need to buy something with downsizing, but they will need to buy back into this market, into the buyer's market right now. You know, we are willing to work with you and come to a win-win, but we are buying back in the same market, so we do need, to get a decent price for it, right?
Yeah, definitely not saying that it's.
I'm not about foreclosure or anything like
Yeah,
that.
because, they would want it for crazy low price, and then they wouldn't be able to get what they need, so we need to just kind of hold on to some of those cards.
Yeah, and I guess even though it's a buyer's market and, market conditions have gone down or whatever, but we can also even bring in, we have already come down significantly from our original list price, so we don't have a lot of room now. That's what they would come back at me.
Like, you just call me.
Oh, they would need, okay.
Yeah.
they want to pay 270.
Okay, so they have to make 217 for
All right, yeah. You guys are listing?
We're listening.
Okay, so you're gonna get a call here pretty soon. You wanna put it on speaker, Ms. Paula?
Yes,
Yeah.
sure will.
All right, time's up.
Go from there.
So what are we saying we need to not go below?
I would say 456 is our bottom number, but I would say, I think they'll start with questions. So it's
Okay,
just.
they want room at more time.
Thank you.
Good.
So when they call,
We were like,
right?
You know how I am, high D.
Right?
I'm ready.
So they'll call, they'll probably introduce themselves, how are you? We can be friendly, but not too friendly. Business.
Because you're not.
Exactly. So, okay, great. So they'll probably say, tell me about sellers. Yes, exactly. Sellers are a lovely couple, just going about them. They are interested in selling, this amazing home. They've made their home for so long, and they love, the Gilbert area. They've been in the heart of Gilbert and Trilogy. Obviously, it's a beautiful neighborhood and all that. But they are buying back into this market. So, and I guess we need to find out about buyers too. Should we be asking questions about buying?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so we need to be asking, the buyer, who they are, programs, and lender, yeah, reloads, or even just, tell me more about them.
So what is their situation?
And why Gilbert, was that last one?
Yeah, that's what I was looking for, because there's been, it's a 55+ community.
Oh, yeah, double checking that, totally. 55+, making sure that they're 55+. I had a client once send me a property, he's like, I love this, I wanna see it. I'm like, you're 30, and this is a 55+. It is gorgeous, but we can't do that. He was laughing so much.
And that doesn't qualify to live there.
As long as one of them is 55, then, yeah.
Or
I know, you're like my sister, I don't know how you're living.
they actually we were both too young when we moved in there, but we got approval from the HOA during our 10-day inspection period.
Oh, you can
They
do that?
they will allow a 20% variation from that rule.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Oh, that's really good to know.
So that's a good thing to investigate
Yeah.
if you want to live with a bunch of old
I called
people.
on that, cause I have some buyers that wanted to be in one, and there were better deals in the 55+. And she said, my daughter and I are really quiet, and so I called the HOA to find out, cause if we could do that and be within that percentage. But they said, well, no, neither of them is in that age group, and they don't accept anybody like her daughter, who's that young.
How
They
old was
say
the daughter?
She's like she was like 19 or something.
The rules are
Right.
one person has to be 55 and no one under 18.
Yeah.
That's,
yeah.
that no one under 18 is pretty hard and fast.
Yeah, they said usually it's when like the one spouse is younger and like the older spouse passes away,
Yeah,
so that
exactly.
she doesn't have to move because the spouse has died.
Right.
So they're like, no, your clients can't move in.
Yeah. Now, yeah, and some it's a good idea to call the HOA because like Velda Row doesn't let anybody.
Can we ask about, you can ask about, how much they'd be putting down and how much are discount? Or, I guess not in this conversation, that's more of down the line, isn't it?
That's true, we know that.
Yeah, so they're totally gonna bring up that it's buyer's market right now, that they're gonna, do the walkaway tactic and we have tons of options and we'll have to just say, okay. We'll have to play hard to get, I suppose, a little bit.
So, everybody has to feel like contracts that are
Right, exactly, yeah,
not in writing.
yeah, not in writing, okay, good,
I
good,
think that would be nice.
yeah,
We could have some photos,
yeah,
or we could have them.
yeah, exactly.
Let's say we've had lots of interest,
Mhm.
but we just don't have one in writing yet.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Tons of interest.
And we can say, yeah, we've actually had a ton of showings and a lot of, interest, obviously, you probably know that based on the location of the property.
I think that's what she.
And they are offering 3%.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Good close. So if we get quick close, that's a good thing, right? Isn't that a good, well, it depends on the buyer's situation. Like that could be a good thing, but what if, it depends on the situation that they're coming from.
That's true. And that'll
Like
be,
what if they're selling a house?
and that'll be us asking, are they relocations, who are they, why Gilbert? Yeah, I would say no. We don't have the time on our side, but we can't necessarily let them know that. So our salaries are, they are, oh shoot. Is that them? Hello? Sorry, I didn't know.
This is Paula, how can I help you?
Hi, Paul. This is Bob Chris with Keller Williams, Equity First Realty. How are you today?
I'm good, Bob, how are you?
Great, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, reviewing your property over on Kingswood Drive.
Oh, isn't it a lovely property?
It is. I love the community. Very, very well gated.
Yeah, it is well gated.
I do have a question.
Oh,
Can you tell me your sellers, why are they leaving such a beautiful property?
Our clients are, yeah, fantastic people, they've lived in the home for a while, they're just looking to move out of the area, maybe downsize a little bit, their family situations just changed, their kids are off and gone now.
Understood. Staying in the same domain, you said.
Yeah, definitely staying in Gilbert, they love the area.
Okay. Understood. Have you had any written offers on the property?
we've had a lot of interest, but no written offers.
Okay. Yeah. What kind of feedback have you been getting? Yeah.
Oh, people love the community, the floor plan. It's been well maintained. It's had a few updates to it. It's just a beautiful home.
And we're most concerned that you seem to be situated right there in the car shack lot, in and out. Have you ever had anything about that from anyone?
People love the access actually to the main road on Queen Creek.
And the windows are so well insulated that when you're inside, you don't hear or notice anything.
What a refreshing way to look at it.
Yes. Good question. Yes. So, one moment.
You won't find it anywhere, she gave you something.
Yeah, yes, good point. That is true. We have reduced the price. Yes, we have decided to,
Oh.
Out of curiosity, how did you just look at the number of 460?
Oh, that's not, I didn't give you that information, that's my fault.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So she hasn't given us that information, so sorry.
I would, oh,
Bob had asked you about feedback. What's been the feedback since you reduced the price? Where's your traffic since you reduced the price?
Yeah, we're still getting a lot of traffic. We've had, some people who are very serious. Obviously, it's a 55 plus community. Are your buyers, qualified to be living there?
Okay, let me ask you this. What do you consider a lot of traffic? How many visits do you think you have now?
Well, we've been having open houses on and during the weekend, and we have a lot of people coming through there. But we've been getting up to 4 showings a day.
So if you've been getting 4 showings a day, you haven't had any rental offers, where are you going from there?
Yes, yeah, no, we are, obviously willing to work with a buyer, and we're motivated enough to sell, and, work with somebody to come to a win-win. We are going to be buying back into the same market though, so, yeah, tell us what you have in mind. That's much for you.
After looking at the comps that are in that area, your house is about 600 square feet larger than the others that are in the area. There's not a whole lot of accurate comps unless you wanna go out to the one that's also 2,500 square feet, and that's sold at 388. So, we're wondering if your sellers would take an offer around 405.
Well, what we're seeing in the market is, the MLS data, is actually saying that the average sales price to list price ratio is about 96%, which would put us, closer to the 456 mark. So that would be quite a lot lower than we were anticipating.
So, according to the quote, on the average, selling at about $160.73 per square foot, which would make your house and your square footage $401,000. We're offering $403 plus the $240 in capital gains and all cash.
That is true. So, even though the average square price per foot, that one, is about that, that also obviously doesn't take into account, what the home looks like, the guest casita, the features in the home, all of that. So that's kind of where we're coming
So,
from.
according to the sale, have the same average bedroom and bathroom as well. So, how do we know that they're not the exact same as the casita?
You mean the comps?
Correct, the comps all have 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, just like your house that you have for sale.
Right, and I think we're talking about more about the upgrades internally in the home, our fireplace, our open plan living, the countertops.
The one on Apricot also had a spa and granite.
And yes,
It sold in May before the market started slowing down. Oh, you just trying to be careful.
I'm watching you. Oh, it's your question, we're not negotiating, okay, sorry, we're negotiating. Gentlemen.
yes, we're still here.
because it's a 55+ community, we put it on the market a little bit before the snowbirds started showing back up, and we think that that's the reason. As it moves into January, we believe that we're gonna have an offer almost immediately.
Okay, so you're going to wait until January then for snow to come?
Of course, the owners are ready to move.
February?
We are looking to move as soon as possible, but we also know that there's gonna be an influx of new buyers coming in.
Not even in order either, but you'd be willing to wait until January, February, when the money gets here.
We would have to check with our sellers on that.
Understood, okay. Thank you very much, Paul.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling, Mom.
Holy crap, that was
That
intense.
was
It wasn't supposed to be negotiating, it was supposed to be just questions, so that's good. Now we're gonna pair up and negotiate.
Okay.
Listing agent match up with buyer's agent, you're gonna spend 5 minutes negotiating, one-on-one,
Yeah.
face to
I
face.
thought you were negotiating at the
I know, I'm
same
sorry,
time.
I wasn't clear.
I was like, okay, let's
So
just.
pick someone to negotiate with. Someone, you're a buyer's agent, right? Some listing agent's gonna get 2 buyer's agents.
Ah, come on out. When's my next? Sure, yeah.
Thank you.
Take up space.
All right.
You get space.
If you get done early, just write down your agreed upon sales price and we'll come back to your spot.
So what was that price that you said?
Oh, hi. Great. So nice to put a face with it.
So excited, so like I said, you know, on the phone, we have, determined that all these.
They are, well, they're from out of state. They're considering Arizona as a place to spend the winter months. A second home, exactly. They're just more. Yes, they're actually cash. Yes. I might have referred to my notes. Yeah, they're from the Midwest. They're looking different warm climates.
There are some upgrades in the home, but even just towns where they have schools in their proms, and they still were anywhere near your
They
price
are
range, even if we did match that.
flexible. They can move as early
The
as
average.
this month, probably after the new year coming out.
I think a good number for your house, you might use our doing all cash offer, maybe a $460,000.
Oh, yes, yes. Just think of the holidays coming up. The family where they are, the next step.
Again, the 405 are really.
Yes, yes.
They've already.
No, I think, I got most of them out on the phone, even I had my team with me, and then they had a few as well, they had it, I don't know if you pick up on the different voices coming up. I'm just, I'm mostly interested in, I pulled the comps myself, and I just, I couldn't really find anything like a perfect match compromise for your house, which I guess, it's great, your house stands out, but it makes it difficult to value for my clients.
So they feel that we're kind of, we're not concerned about just right now, we've been marketing 7 days, so the overall average is 84, so we're still well under that. And like we said on the phone, we also see influx of buyers is on its way. So, I mean, we could not do as low as 403, but we have some, we choose somewhere, but did you have a?
I think so,
Come back
But looking at this, I
price.
cannot check, there's no. Do you guys have a rebuttal for 403?
Yeah, we, so for us taking into account buyers that sales prices are 5%, we have 426, we would be looking
Based on no
around
price per square
that.
foot, it's
How would you feel about
interior upgrades or anything like that, but with the pump so different.
I still.
I kind of use that as to fall back on to kind of check myself.
How motivated are your, like,
a
you
list.
know, for them to get something comparable with the comps, obviously you can see the comps in that area. And, you know, 4 is not gonna see them, but maybe something else that they need to see.
And I don't, yeah, I don't think,
Right.
so you just say.
Rather price per square foot.
Yes,
True.
yeah, that's what
I, and that was, if I recall, you know, I was working with clients then, it was more of a selling market back then, just, you know, just to get the house. And they did reduce $11,000, if anything. Now I think, you know, buyers have a lot more choices out there.
Around 2,500.
What do you think?
And my partner said that.
Okay.
Yeah, they are moved down the line.
Like I would give them very smaller square footage.
Like they do have more comfortable
Right.
But,
So I think it's-
see, in this situation, we could choose to
Yeah, which is downstairs, it's still too close.
Let me talk to my clients as well and see if there's one that can come up.
Exactly. So we have been at that, and at 450, what we were asking to that.
Since our clients is,
Okay, so they should like look at
cash. These are, I know for a fact, these are close to those right now. I think we're ballpark for cash.
They really just want to stay away from the Midwest winters. You know, and they like the community, the amenities. You know, they want an active lifestyle. So, yeah.
On here it says prior remarks by
anyone that doesn't have to buy or sell.
Okay, I think we're still quite a ways off, I mean, our final.
Everybody's doing it.
Right, I just, there's still there another real.
We've been
I
trying to
think
cover
we're
that
on
cost
that
for buyers, but you can say
15 to 420 right now.
So, in this scenario,
we're still, yeah.
I know, they put their realtor in Florida on the phone, and
And like I say,
he's
just
working in
a
that range
lot
there.
of buyers out to kind of
Sure.
I mean, in person shopping is just.
Yeah.
It is your buyer willing to
Yeah,
wait
they
another 2
definitely.
months to see if someone comes in and has their property on the market or.
Because, I mean, I don't wanna waste your time or our time.
Yeah, we're,
But,
Well, that's what our boss line is, because that's what we're gonna have.
But it is time, go ahead, I'll present it, and then maybe we can kind of, you know, let's meet, maybe we can, maybe we can meet.
Because I was also trying to get the lowest price possible.
Because I know you're looking
But
at
we
the
all have that.
capital improvement fee, $490 paid by the buyer.
And that's how much we have to. We're supposed to work on
These comps, I don't know what appraisal is.
I think these are
So,
As
I'm
we're-
a cash buyer,
yeah.
so no, I mean, absolutely, thank you. I would recommend that as well, just to safeguard them, so they know they're not paying too much, but I'm just worried that even before it's one.
That's quite a bit smaller.
For appraising
I mean,
issues.
the thing with this home is it does for the foresee that, I guess, it's kind of.
Well, we were a cash buyer, we wouldn't need an appraisal.
So it sounds like they are,
Yeah.
so they're probably looking
Yeah, you're up to that. Man, you're not good.
They will leave the house, they say that they like, they want to get into, very, or.
They have that house just in mind of what they're getting into, therefore what they need to know.
So let's say we presented it to me, I presented it to the
And that might be the
sellers.
smartest thing to do.
Yes.
He decided that it's not the right house for us.
That's an answer. That's an answer.
Okay, that is an answer.
No.
And then,
I'm like, that would happily walk away.
Yeah, totally.
Is that what everybody's gonna do? Walk away? Nobody gonna win? No winner? No winners?
I'm not willing to come down as low as he wants me to, and he's not willing to come up.
Is everybody coming up with that same solution?
Yes, such a big difference, it's like at least $30,000 to $35,000 difference.
I think on the phone with you guys, I mean, we could hear that you guys weren't sold on this list price either.
Right.
I
Your
mean,
sellers are motivated and the buyers are not as motivated, and there's no way to justify the price.
All right.
There's no
Yeah.
way.
So my example next time needs to be closer.
Maybe closer, yeah.
But this is a real listing,
I know, that's.
and these are real
but I mean,
comps.
sometimes the right answer is, I mean, they don't, our buyers, see, we don't need to move, we don't need to buy a
Don't you
house.
feel bad for your, okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
for the
Okay.
I'm just trying to look
Okay.
this up.
Is anybody gonna come to a number?
Hold on,
She's-
can I ask
she's
you a
saying
question,
that-
cause I was gonna just look it up. Most of the comps you gave us are 1,900 square feet, which is they're not
600 square
comparable.
feet.
So my comps
only
are all
one
homes in Trilogy with a casino.
Okay, would you expand that a little bit? Like,
Sure.
let's say it had to be financed. An appraiser is probably not gonna use a 600 square foot different home.
Can I ask a question? I probably should have asked the listing
Yeah,
agent.
go ahead.
Is these houses with a casita, is this the square footage of the main home or the total square footage?
Total square footage.
Of the 1945 is, and the 25, so it's a bigger house with a casita?
Is that Walnut one the one that I went and looked at?
Yep.
I thought so. I've actually seen this house,
Mm-hmm.
and it is really nice.
Okay, so duly noted. Next time I'll try to get a better example.
It's still
Well-
interesting to just kind of
No,
talk about
it is
What
interesting.
situations do you have?
Yeah, still look at
She's saying that
No,
based on the
let's not-
comps, she couldn't justify going above 405.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I
and
didn't
so
know.
then I'm like, it's tricky because we're so far apart, but yet our client really needs to.
Okay, so
No.
let's read, listing agents, read your side, you have a question
You
before we start?
Yes.
Okay.
It probably would be helpful to, you said we pulled these are the ones, or we pulled the comps that didn't have casitas
No, those are only Trilogy homes with casitas.
with
They're
casitas.
all the same.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if we pull homes in that square footage or something close without casitas, we get a better idea of how much the casita
Of the increase or
values the
whatever.
home,
Okay, let's do it.
other than going by
Okay, so let's,
This is the tough one. Did you notice on the cost, like there's just no bringing together?
so tell me what you want.
Sorry, it's
Right,
like,
but yet these sellers, like if that's.
Okay,
the-
so we're gonna do, this is Trilogy,
Maybe they could.
square footage, what, above 2,100? What do you want?
casita.
With a casita?
No, you've got these with, right?
Yeah, but I'm gonna run it now. This is Trilogy, right here, in Gilbert, so there, cause there's 3 trilogies, right? And square footage above 2,100. Any other?
Without a casita.
No casita. Yeah, with or without a casita. So we'll do this CMA. Oops, let me pick, so yeah, you guys know how to do the CMA. So you choose all the properties, and then you go over here and you do CMA, statistical buyer CMA, and it gives you, well, this is only active. That's not what you want. Let's go back. We're gonna edit the search.
And is this house really, like, are the sellers really in this situation?
No, I just made that up.
Oh, okay, well, that makes me feel a little better.
those poor people.
I know.
I'm so sorry. That's why I was asking if she just wrote this up this morning.
I know, and you're trying to.
Can we show
like-
them?
So
Okay,
our
okay,
actual
yep.
stories of people-
So Paula, read the sellers.
just gave-
But then it's-
Okay, so one of you listing agents, read the listing agent,
Okay, you want us to read the whole thing?
you can summarize.
Okay, so basically, for the listing agent, so it's a referral from a very good past client. The previous agent, so there was a previous agent who had the home listed for 6 months at $575. 4 days on the market, received an offer at $540, way low. They countered it full, but the buyers walked away. They've had no offers since then. So the sellers are fairly collaborative, but they are holding out to their original higher price. So you come in then, you list the home at $475. Recently successful, but they were recently successful in getting the sellers to reduce the current price due to lack of showings and no offers. So now we're at $460, obviously. Market conditions obviously have deteriorated rapidly over the past 8 months. So situation is the husband was released from his place of employment 4 months ago, and the home is headed towards foreclosure. The sellers have not missed any payments, but they really only have enough reserves for one more. The sellers owe on their home, $200,000 in their mortgage, so they're hoping to still make a good profit on the sale of their home, and will use it to purchase a smaller home before they foreclose. And the home's in good conditions, so they want a quick close. It's a buyer's market, however, prices are stabilizing. That's kind of the rest.
Yep.
So would they have made enough money to walk away if we had taken 405?
Because what do they owe on it?
They got
Yeah,
a
so that's what I was
$205
thinking.
profit 'cause it's cash.
Because yours
That's
is
what I was
215,
showing.
that would have been.
So we
So-
should have taken the 405.
Cause
I think I would have recommended to my clients based on their situation.
Somebody is better than nobody.
There's not a line of people here to buy this house, what's gonna happen next month?
We decided that I would just write an offer for 405
And present it.
it, maybe get the ball rolling in the thought
Yeah,
process.
and maybe they'd come up a little bit, but we would just kind of,
But at least
but they almost don't have a choice, right? Like they have to
Because
take
this
it.
is our scenario, says your clients are cash buyers from the Midwest with $425,000 in liquid funds. They would like to get the best deal possible. They're 75 years old and understand the value of money. They don't need to buy a home in Arizona.
So,
So-
So they're not as
Yeah, and
motivated.
you've got.
We don't need it.
That's good.
This is what we're, this is what
You're
we're coming
right,
up
you're
with
right,
if you don't
you're
want
right.
it.
405 would be
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
definitely.
I'm cool with
Yeah,
it in
you've got
Minnesota, like.
strong.
But see, we got
argument.
caught up in, the three of us got caught up in, we can't go past here and we lose.
Yeah.
We got into that win-lose scenario
Yeah.
that you talked about.
Yeah.
Well, as long as like you're making the 200,000, you're not losing, like you're making what you owe the bank, so
But they
anything
need
above that's
enough money.
profit.
But they need the money above it to buy another home.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
they gotta
like
pay
you
it off
just
the
need to
end.
have a down payment, you don't have to pay, you know what I'm saying, like you just need to have enough.
However, he said in
For
Floyd,
down.
he probably won't be able to get a loan.
But if,
Oh, yeah.
except
Well,
it's
exactly,
$400,000.
it goes 1 month and now
You
you're in
get money,
foreclosure, and now you can't buy a house, it's like double whammy, right?
Yeah, it's not a bad situation.
I don't know, I look at it as like obtaining $205,000 extra
That's
in funds,
Yeah.
that's more than enough to put down as a down payment on a home and have somebody be like, okay, you have enough assets, so if they did have to.
So you recommended what, 405, take it?
Well, so she was at 403. and
I was at
we're ready to walk.
the 240, or the 2,400 in buyer capital improvement fee, because this is a buyer pays us, we were saying, yes, we'll pay it. And then
'Cause you can.
403, because based on what the average, since the square footage was so different, we went off of the closed,
Okay.
the 3 listings that were closed, the average, sale price was at 96% of the sales prices, which was $160.73 per square foot. I know you're not supposed to, like, some people say don't go off square foot, but because there's such a difference in it, we were trying to price it
Right.
accordingly, which brought us at, it was actually 401,000 and some change.
So that's what
So
you
we
came
thought
up with
bringing it
using
to-
square foot.
Yeah, so we thought, well, we'll bring it up 403,000, give them a little extra, do this, it's the 405, 400.
Yeah.
We thought it was more than fair, especially since a lot of the comps also had pools and things like
What
that.
do people think of $475,000?
Yeah. So,
No, originally 575.
yeah, can you imagine that?
No.
That's
So,
575.
we just figured
What,
based on that,
2005?
and the other ones having a
Yeah.
pool, they still were kind of more.
Yep, so here's Jeff's comps, requested comps. These are basically square footage, over 2,100 square feet.
Is this actually your home?
No.
Oh, okay.
But it is in her neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the average closed is 441, 477. We'll use your price per square foot. Sold 192.54.
So,
So see here where my cursor
So
is?
if we use that amount, it would be closer to 500,000, but based on the comps we were given, we were in more of a ballpark figure.
Yeah, these are no casita. So
oh, okay.
this is just big houses in the neighborhood. That's what Jeff wanted to look
It's in
at.
these casitas, does the casita have a bathroom and everything?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cause I looked at a place in Cortina, Cattle, and it said it was a casita, but it was just basically a square box.
Oh.
Yeah,
There's
some of them
nothing.
are, they're,
Yeah.
like, they're just
One of them
ridiculous.
It's like, what are you gonna do with it?
Yeah.
Like, and it was separate entrance, you know, obviously you
Yeah,
can see, but
it's just-
it.
It could be an, well, they had no bathroom?
No bathroom,
or kitchen?
closet, the person was using it as a bathroom, they just had rods across the.
What was the question about the, oh, maybe history? What was the question you just asked about, what were they thinking? Oh, I know what you were saying, how'd you come up with that price, that's crazy. And I was thinking, let's go back and see what they paid for the house. Because a lot of people in Trilogy, these homes were built, what, 2006-ish? So that was at the height of the market, and there are so many people in my neighborhood are upside down on their houses.
Yeah.
Like, they have to live there because they can't afford to get it paid, you know? So that's something to take into consideration too.
Right.
You know, is,
How do you negotiate with that though? Because like if the comps are, we're in a different time now, I know you paid with it, but that,
Right.
like.
Kind
I'm
of a
sorry,
mindset, there's a-
yeah,
there's a mindset.
I'm sorry that happened,
Right.
what's your plan B?
Right.
If you don't get, you know, my people are here, they're ready to pay this much, we can justify this purchase price based on square foot, based on da-da-da-da-da, there's that noisy gate, who else is gonna buy your house?
Yeah.
What's your plan B? I mean, we have the ability to buy any other $400,000 house in Trilogy.
Sometimes it's easier being by extension, like way easier. Also, question, how would you, go against the square footage, like when people are just using price per square
Yes.
foot to justify it? We had an Ignite class where the guy was like so angry when people do that because it doesn't take into account all these other features and location. Right? And I thought that was really interesting, cause I, calculated on price per square foot before, but totally agree with what he said as well. What's your negotiation tactic
Well,
for that?
I know what the square footage price is and I know what the comps say. However, that's a valid question. How do I justify my list price? The reason I justify my list price is because we are on a 1 acre lot. You're comparing it, you're using the Zillow approach. You're using every home within a mile. Well, that's not real world. My house is in Trilogy. We're a resort community, right?
Yeah,
And I was
People
using
pay
that,
extra
yeah.
to live there.
yeah,
It's
that's so
ridiculous.
true.
You could buy a so much nicer house outside of Trilogy, but people want that whole clubs, activities, golf course right there, on-site bar, restaurant, like, that's like,
But for when it's
And
in
the
this
streets are
activity and all
private.
your comps are also within there, that's not really.
Oh, yeah.
but if you can justify,
Right.
like, this is why, I know your price per square footage is $125 and I'm at $190, and the reason is because I have an acre lot, you know, you have to pay for that acre lot, even though the house is the same as the house over here on a smaller lot,
Right.
that makes a difference.
Right.
The whole resort, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no,
Okay,
not
that
totally.
counts. Well, does that answer your question, or did you going somewhere else?
You're saying if all of.
I'm saying, cause like all of our comps were provided to us all in Trilogy,
Yeah.
so, okay, you are justifying yours at this
If it's inflated with all the.
$130,000 price, because you have all the same amenities as the ones that sold at $388, it says it.
So you have no justification
For me, it would be no, cause they also, I can still,
Yeah,
at a
they
house for
also-
277
Yeah.
with a pool,
Right. So
have
you're
those
saying-
amenities.
Okay, so you're saying, I would say if I were a buyer's agent, can you help me to understand how you came upon this
Okay.
list price?
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing similar homes with pools not next to the guard gate
Right.
that are more appealing to my clients.
Okay.
And I'd like to understand how you came up with that price, because my clients truly do love the home.
Okay.
And from the listener perspective, when you're asked that question, what we say as a lister, if they're all in Trilogy,
I think you need to take a look at the upgrades. We've got some upgrades, we've got, whatever there might be. Sometimes it's total BS, if the people just think, I have to get $460 because I paid $460 and now I'm upside down and I'm gonna lose my house next month, and I'm like,
Isn't that?
I'm sorry, but what's your plan B?
So a question for me, is that public information, so I would know, like, oh, they're this motivated because they're in foreclosure.
Only if it's on a tax record.
Okay.
And
I'm
yeah,
just
they
like,
have to
But
go
you
in.
know that, right?
Well,
How
they,
they work
you
with
guys, but yeah.
They're not.
I'm just wondering, cause
So-
I
How's
know
it
that
gonna-
I recently had a
alright.
client.
They're gonna start missing payments.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would be like, unless you were like, will die, if you do not have this house, maybe we should look elsewhere.
As the buyer's agent.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless they can get a deal. Like, if you can get it for $404.
Well, like in our negotiations and it wasn't I would just be like,
Yeah, then you walk. But if a listing agent isn't looking out for their client's best interest, I mean, they need to take that offer to their clients, because their clients have no plan B.
Right, okay. So,
You know,
yeah, I
I'm
was just
sorry it
wondering,
worked out
like-
this way, but
Yeah.
what's gonna happen if we don't take this offer?
Yeah.
You know, it's like I tried to go 2 steps down the road, because they think, okay, I'm gonna take 405 and then I'm done. And it's like, you have to prepare them, you have to say, okay, the first negotiation is gonna be the purchase price. The next negotiation is gonna be the inspection. Like, we're not done negotiating yet. And you have to tell your clients that, because they don't realize they're gonna have to make more decisions.
The house 1 and 3 on the comparables is the same house.
What's that?
1 and 3, we think
It was a flip.
It was, I saw it after they flipped it.
So
Wow.
Walnut, oh, I saw it, it's the same address.
Yep. Oh, before Paula goes, can I
I
share
didn't
something
even
she did to
notice
me in
that.
the negotiation?
Yes, let's hear it.
I was trying to, come from a place of strength with the cash buyer
Right.
and not needing a appraiser, and the appraiser's gonna look at these comps and not, and she's, what's that? No, she said, like, I said, so, coming in as a cash buyer, we won't need an appraisal, so, and she said, but I still recommend that you buyers get get the house appraised. I'm like, well, we'll certainly safeguard that, and I'm like, damn it, I just took away all my bargaining power of the appraisal.
You go, girl!
She killed me. It was pretty awesome, I'm like, I gotta remember that.
Yeah, that's an option. And
The Thompsons are here, so I'm gonna say.
Okay.
step back.
Additional clause addendum is what you would use if you have a buyer who's paying cash who wants an appraisal.
Okay.
That additional clause addendum outlines your ability and right to have an appraisal, and you can cancel based on the appraisal.
Okay.
Because if you don't do that, and your clients realize later they paid too much, that's too bad.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
What is it called? So even if
Additional clause addendum.
So you're saying, so even if I'm a cash buyer, and let's say I did offer the 410 and they did not appraise at that, I still don't have to pay the 410, even though I'm a cash buyer, they know I have the cash, I can pay what it actually appraised for?
If you have the additional
Addendum.
clause addendum.
Okay.
That's your out.
Yeah.
Fully understood.
Okay.
That's your out. Nope, that's a contingency then. So if it doesn't appraise, you have the ability to walk without losing your earnest money.
Okay.
So like any appraisal, you can pay the difference, you can renegotiate, or you can walk away. And that doesn't change when you're a cash buyer if you have that in place.
This was a fun activity.
That was
It was.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next time I'll have a better scenario. I was my first time using that, so I'll have another.
It still brought up a lot of interesting things. but,
Totally, yeah.
Because we didn't know. Like,
There was still a lot of
their
negotiation going on.
part, But yeah, like it's, I wasn't gonna much, I just thought we had to come to an agreement when we were like, if you wanna walk away, I was like, I'll walk away.
Yeah, bye.
But what if your buyers could get a really good deal? You know what I mean? Like,
If they-
okay, so here's my guy, so my crazy guy who thinks you have to win or lose this summer, who wanted to buy a $950,000 house. And that's when the other agent said, let's be gracious. Right? I'm just like,
Oh my God.
Like, I would probably look at my client and be like, what would be winning for you?
You know
What
what-
would make you happy to be your end game?
what do you think would be, what do you think you got the house for? Cause he's like walked away 3 times.
Well, what
And I'm
was
like,
the list price, like, what was the list price?
$950.
950, what do you, or, yeah, I don't know.
He bought the house for $760.
There you go.
Wow.
This listing is Beechwood?
No,
Oh.
one in Minnesota that I was
Oh.
representing the buyer. And he walked away and he was crazy and he called the
I would
owner.
call that a win.
It's a total win, but
Yeah.
it's like, that's a lot. Like, so what if you could have done that for your buyer? What if they could have got a great deal? Too bad for the sellers, I'm sorry.
Right,
I can't
right.
solve your problem for you. I can solve your problem by bringing these buyers who will pay whatever cash, and if your listing agent doesn't work with you to accept that, then you'll probably even foreclose. You know,
When you put this exercise together, did you have a number in mind?
I did not,
Okay. Just curious.
no. I did the same exercise with a different property, and it was quite, heated discussion, but it was interesting. And,
Sorry, I wrote all over this.
no, you can have it. The property that we negotiated on was, and this is how I got beat in my negotiation, is it was a mountainous area, and some homes had mountain views and some didn't,
Mhm.
and I didn't figure that out. But Robin Rotella sells in Bull Canyon, where there's mountain views, and she totally knows the value of a
Right.
mountain view. And she's like, well, you have an interior lot, you don't even have a mountain view. All these other comparables are mountain views, and I'm like,
So I live in Santan Valley, and they try and use our views and superstitions as mountain views. I was like, in the distance, like, it shouldn't be a thing.
it counts, it counts.
Because I laugh, because my parents' house, they used that when they sold it a few years back. Oh, they can see the superstitions. I was like,
Back east, it's like you see a sliver of the ocean, like,
Yeah,
through
if you
the,
stand on the toilet
Yeah,
and do this.
yeah,
you can
it's
see
ocean
it.
view, yeah.
Yeah,
I was like, oh.
Breathtaking views of the ocean.
yeah, if you stand in your driveway, like,
Right.
yeah, so it's true. It's not, but it's good to have a little bit of adversity, so I'll get a better example for the next.
I think it was
podcast.
the fun one, like,
It was just,
Still
we all kept negotiating,
It was
I mean,
fun.
we weren't getting anywhere, but we still had the practice of going back and forth and
Yeah.
trying to
I
find.
learned how not to get
resolve.
killed on, keep my power of a cash buyer
Yeah.
with it.
So,
I- well,
Even on the phone, trying to, ask questions, get the information or whatever, but not give away your cards and how to say things, that was really
Mhm.
yeah, it's,
Yeah.
and
The
it
phone
wasn't.
call was very fun.
Yeah, and I try not to get into negotiating on the first call, because I'm trying to develop a ally and relationship and, and then I send the offer over and then I might call or text. I always send a text saying offer has been sent, please confirm. Because I have many times gotten offers and I never see them. Like,
Yeah.
where did it go? I don't know, so just cover your bases on your client's behalf.
I feel bad if he's 55 and older and lost his job.
I know, yet you didn't yet you didn't sell it.
That's too bad.
It's too bad, I'm sorry,
Like, it's no
I'm sorry I
wonder.
helped you to go into foreclosure.
Yeah,
It's no
exactly.
wonder he wants the cash to buy a house because he's getting up there.
And in the end, you would take that offer to your client, it wouldn't be your
Oh,
decision.
yeah. Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean, so there's that.
Absolutely.
He might say, yeah, I'll take it, like,
Yeah.
whatever, like,
Right.
I
That's why I
gotta
told
go.
Susan, like, I'll just write an offer, see what your sellers say.
And this has happened to me quite a bit this summer, is like, I'll write, my lowball guy, he writes lowball offers everywhere, and he actually got one this time. But, I write an offer and the selling agent's like, no.
You cannot say that. You gotta take it.
Well, yeah, like, my client is not interested in that.
Right,
Would you be interested in a counter offer?
right.
Like, why not keep the conversation going?
Yeah,
Like,
Right.
maybe we will pay full price,
yeah.
but we're not now, because,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
there's no point in just saying no. Just counter at full price if that's what your client wants. Just keep the ball rolling. It's, collaborative.
Yeah.
Why not?
Bridges. Bridges.
Yes, exactly. I wrote that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody negotiate, like you said, like, you could have your client come in and they're a lose-win or win-lose kind of person, and it's like, I gotta come in here
Right.
to leave room to negotiate, to come up to where I'm really willing to pay.
And I like,
he shuts that down.
as your lowball agent,
Mhm.
and they go to you like, well, here's our offer, and they're like, no. I'm like, help me out here, right? Give me
Right.
something
Right.
to take back, right? If you just say no, it's like,
Right.
we're gonna go write an offer on another property,
Right.
and maybe that better agent
Yeah.
will negotiate on their
Right.
client's behalf, and maybe maybe my guy won't pay that.
And you don't wanna tell this agent, like, hey, this is the third house, my client's done this, he's gonna come up if you just give us a free.
And I said, would you like to make a counter offer? That's
Right.
not in my client's best interest to tell that guy to do
Right.
that. And, he's like, no, but you're welcome to make another offer when you present to my client. And I'm like, I don't understand this game. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna write offers and hope you entertain one of them.
Right.
I'm gonna go
Right.
write offers somewhere else.
Right.
I don't get it. So
Yeah.
don't be that guy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Or gal.
Or gal.
Right.
Agent tests.
Right. So, it's not that hard to be a good agent. And everybody's talking about the shift, right? So, it's not that hard. Do your database, keep in contact with your database, do open houses, they don't cost anything. You don't have to pay for leads or have follow-up boss or all these expensive programs. Like, when I first came to Keller Williams, my goal was to not spend any money.
Nice.
Like, I'm gonna use E-Edge, I'm gonna do open houses, I'm not gonna do all the shiny object stuff, you know what I mean? So, it works,
Yeah.
it works, you just have to like follow up,
Yeah, that's the.
call people, answer your phone,
Yeah.
and be a reasonable person that cares.
Maybe buy a hat.
Yes, that hat is gonna
Right.
sell you home, sir.
Something, I
I like it. So, anyway, that's, in the shift, don't be afraid, just do the things you're learning in Ignite and you'll be fine, you know?
That's it, just doing it.
Yeah, I've heard one instructor here say, the same person we talked about before, that this may be the first normal market we've actually had in 15 years. It's not like, it's not a down market, it's just,
Normal.
It's normal
Don't be
now,
afraid
like
of
it's-
normal.
yeah.
It's been so easy, I mean, it has been so easy
no.
that if it does start to turn and be more normal and maybe even a down market, so many agents are gonna vacate, because they don't have the skills to make a living in that market.
Right.
They're gonna have to get jobs.
Selling mortgage guys from 2000s.
Right, so, you know, build your skills, build your
Girlfriends.
database,
Don't even. So different.
and you know, maybe farm a
I'm
neighborhood.
afraid that's me.
And you know, I farm a neighborhood that nobody wants,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
works for me.
I think which one is that?
You know what I mean? Like, it's not a red trails or Tower Ranch, you know, like, I farm just like a,
Yeah.
Basically.
yeah.
And
But-
what do you do
Just
to farm it?
Well, of course, I door knock because it's free.
Yes. How long have you been in business?
I started in 13, about this time, 13, November, yeah.
Is it in
Yeah,
Mason?
still doing the basics.
Mhm.
Did you hear anything about door knocking where you need a
Permit?
license?
I
Yeah.
did that
Is
too.
that-
Have you,
I just
have you
remember-
found out, cause I was gonna call the city and,
Yeah, I would. Now, I did see something about that from the mayor who spoke or something like that. I'm not selling anything.
Right,
Do you
just talking
take
to people.
I'll just
flyers
drop
or
it.
something? What do you take?
Well, ideally,
but are you selling your services?
I'm inviting to my open house.
Okay, so you do an open house in your farming area and invite them to your open house.
Another thing, yeah, and so I'll door knock and sometimes I'll just be like, yeah, we've got a new listing in the neighborhood. You know, a lot of people in this neighborhood have friends or family from the Midwest who are interested, and I just thought I'd let you know about it. Yeah, do you know anybody who might be interested? No? Okay, well, thanks for thinking about it. You know, Carol's husband just died, and she has to move back to Oklahoma. You should call Carol.
Love it. Was it? Yes, thank you very much.
Is it okay if I tell Carol you gave me her name?
Could you use another example next time, cause my wife's name is Carol.
Oh, I'm
so I
sorry.
need a husband.
I'm sorry.
No.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
Joyce. No.
Yeah.
So, and then I'll go talk to Carol or Joyce, and she'll be like, "Oh my God, she's alive!" I had no idea. I had no idea where to begin.
Right.
I'm so lost. I don't even know where to begin. I'm like, "Oh, you know," and it's easy for me because I'm not intimidating. Like, they'll open their door, they'll invite me in. I did some new flooring. You want to see it?
That's so sweet.
It's hilarious.
Yeah,
Like,
I love it.
Do you ever have tea on the porch?
Have you?
No, I've had people like, oh, come in, we'll have some tea. I'm like, that's okay, I'll come in. I just don't have like cyanide in tea.
I know, if you can close your eyes when I pour your tea, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I don't accept things from them, but we hang out.
Another thing, I kind of focus on 55 plus communities because I'm only here in the winter months. I go back to Minnesota in the summer. Yeah, and
So
so,
that's why you recently sold that house in Minnesota. I'm like,
yeah,
how are
I
you
sold
doing that?
$2 million worth of real estate in September in Minnesota.
That's cool.
Brilliant.
I know.
Is your
It's a-
farming neighborhood Dreamland Villa?
It is. So,
It's just north of where I live.
where do
So
you live?
I live in that new Albany Village
Mhm.
construction, and there's a house that's for sale right behind me.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so I'm totally it's just a story.
Do it.
I'm from Utah, okay, so I'm Mormon.
Yeah.
I just don't practice it. So the only two families in our little neighborhood that won't speak to us are the Mormons. So they hired a Mormon to be the real estate agent. But he called me the other day and I'm like, well, can I do an open house in there? He's
Right.
like, yeah. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to prospect my neighborhood or not because they're still building. So why would you?
I see a lot for sale signs in construction.
There's three.
Because a lot of
There's
people
three
get in that
within the
first
last week and a
phase
half.
and thinking they're gonna make money when they get to phase 4, phase
We
5.
farm in a community that still is putting up new builds and we do a lot of business.
Okay.
And I'm thinking
I
about,
want to do an
I'm
open
thinking about
house.
doing that in the Bridges, which is right next to Trilogy.
Yes. Yeah.
They're all built up, they're new homes, but people get new jobs, they get divorced, they're whatever.
Things
you know?
still happen, yeah.
And it's
Just
close to where I
throw
live.
out
I'm getting
house
tired of
signs.
driving 15 miles to my farm. more.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
I want
people
a
are so-
higher price point too. That's one of my, I would probably, if I was starting over, I'd probably pick a farm with a little bit better price point.
So you can establish yourself there.
Well, you get a better commission.
Yeah.
Same work.
Like, we have an area that we farm on as our team, but I farm my personal neighborhood where I live. And I find that one to be more successful because I pose myself as the neighborhood specialist because I live here, I know what we do, I know all my neighbor, like I know everything, I know everybody.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you, like, I can help sell your home because I know what's good, I know what's not selling that's bad, and go
Right.
from there.
I do the exact same thing in door knocking and saying, hi neighbor, instead of, hi, I'm Carly from Keller Williams, so way better conversation. Right?
Yep,
Start
right.
there.
It's true.
Like, I was just calling my neighbors yesterday instead of calling our normal like farms and stuff, and just like telling them like, oh, you know, I live in the area, and they're like, oh, where? Well, I'll tell them exactly where I live, and they're like, oh, and then they'll ask me about things because people just think, oh, you're just saying that. No, I truly do live like in your neighborhood.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I got 3 leads yesterday of people who are actually moving out of our neighborhood, and I live in Johnson Ranch,
Oh, sure.
which everybody is fleeing because we have the world's worst water, like Michigan Flint status,
Right.
and so everyone's been using Open Door. And I am tired of everybody using Open Door because it's, we just don't know, and like all of our housing prices have gone down. Like my house, when I bought it a year ago, I bought it with $35,000 in equity, and I don't have any equity now because everyone keeps selling their houses for nothing. So I'm like, I'm gonna change this so I can sell my house and get some money.
You should have a meeting, like a HOA meeting, like, everybody needs to know. If one neighbor
So
sells
I've
their
made
house
it like
open door, it
my
affects
mission
everybody.
to educate
Here.
these
That's a
people,
good
like,
talking point.
some of them,
For sure.
it makes the most sense, like, some of them, it doesn't. Like,
What do you think of this idea? This is wrong for me to solve your problem, right? I need to be listening to you, but what if you invited Open Door to an open forum and people could ask questions, like, are you thinking about listing your house? I and Open Door will be hosting a da-da-da-da on Thursday, and you just answer questions.
Yeah.
Don't like open door, it'll be hard.
Well, what are you afraid of?
Does that turn into us
Nothing, but-
versus them kind of thing?
Yeah, well, I'm
Where
just-
people are asking, well,
I'm just
she
throwing
said,
it out.
oh, we have to get permission for this,
Just a
I-
really thought.
I was just at last month a thing by Open Door, and Kenny
Yep.
Wallace was there, and he works with them, and literally he was up there totally openly talking about, yeah, we'll present it, but we're better, and the guy Tyler's sitting right there, like, and this is why we're better, and this is our value, and this is our da da da, and he's sitting right there, and he knows it,
But it's a whole different approach.
yeah, it is. It's a totally different
And
approach.
you know what, different people, some people want Open Door,
That's why I
and
love
some people
this
want
house.
representation.
Yeah, you just really need to know everything about Open Door then.
And
Like,
people
you
assume
do.
if they give you a price, that's the end all be all, and people don't understand, I can make a negotiation with Open Doors, like when we go to our appointments, we actually, before we go, we pull Open Door, offer pad and some other one, I can't think of off the top of my head, and watch some, we've already ran your house, this is what they're willing to offer you, and I know that I can get you at least da-da-da, if we listen, you know what I mean?
That's
Present to
awesome.
them, like, we know this is what they're offering, but we know, like, based on the comps and the market and what you actually have in your house, because they've never seen it,
Yeah.
that this is what you can actually get.
So, okay, so say you didn't wanna have an open forum with Open Door.
Yeah.
Say you wanted to say, are you getting approached from from buyers, from online buyers or something like that? Let me show you the difference.
And even just knowing the general stats too, I suppose, if you know, the average percentage, if you go with these or if you
Or what
get
the
this.
true
or-
costs are.
Yeah,
It's-
exactly.
The fees are higher than our commission,
So-
above and beyond the low percentage, the percentage less that they pay
Right.
in the sales.
But I totally would capitalize
Yeah.
on everybody fleeing.
Yeah.
Like, why not? I'll sell your house. Right?
Ooh, so good.
I'm like, I don't wanna be there, I know you don't wanna be here, like,
Let's get you moved.
3 days ago I didn't have any water in my house, let's go, let's leave.
Yeah, it's too bad, it's too bad.
Yeah.
So there a lawsuit against Johnson Water now?
Johnson Utilities,
Yeah.
there's been lots of them, but he pretty much owns the world out there, so he's bought everybody off, he's gotten off every single time, so.
It's a bad situation.
It is, but,
And you had no idea there was that problem, that's crazy.
oh yeah, like we don't have water sometimes, or when we do, it comes through the ground, like we buy gallons of water, like I buy probably 25 gallons of water every week, so we have like water to cook with, water for our dogs. I don't use the
Those
water for
just
anything.
things.
The school will close. They close the school because they don't have safe water.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, I sold a house in Solera,
Okay.
in Johnson Ranch or whatever, and they're like, we really wanna buy it in Solera because it's super cheap, and I'm like, well, water is going to kill you.
Like I wish my realtor, cause I wasn't a realtor at the time, but it told me, hey, you and your tiny little children should have it there.
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's so nice. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, so, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanna be the resource rather than everyone just abandoning and like, cause I'm like, no, I can't leave, cause my house isn't worth.
So another thing that I learned from a client who worked for a water company is, there are other developments in town that have private water sources. Like, I think Sun Lakes has private water source. And that's something to bring to your client's attention, saying, listen, your water is coming from a private source, you need to investigate that. Because that is gonna be significant when you come to sell your house. If the price, they control you. They can control the prices, they control the quality. It's important to investigate that. Whether you choose to or not, just know that.
And my parents live up in Laredo Ranch, so just up Ironwood from us, and they have Diversified Water, which is a completely different company, and it's more regulated and everything's fine. If I would've just lived up the road 5 minutes, like we would totally be fine. It's insane.
That's nuts, yeah.
The place I'm renting, it's in Sossaman Estates, and I'm looking at it, and it says, call to set up the utilities kind of
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
and it would say Johnson Utilities, and I'm like,
Uh,
and I call and they go, oh, we don't have your address, it turns out it's town of Queen Creek now,
Oh,
it
oh.
updated, and I'm like, and I didn't realize how lucky, and then I heard a news story like a week later about
I
the
post
water,
at
and I'm
least
like,
every
oh.
other day updates from Epcor,
Yeah.
who's the company that got placed, like running Johnson Utilities.
Okay.
I post updates about every other day on my business page on Facebook,
Yeah.
just letting people know like what's going on.
I've done it too, post the Johnson Ranch
It's-
water situation, cause I don't want people, sorry, to buy a house there.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, that's good, that's.
Did you use an agent or were you already, you weren't an agent at the time?
I wasn't an agent at the time, I used an agent, and she just
Yeah.
wasn't familiar with the area, but that's
So
where I wanted to live.
You never
so
knew
she
about
know.
that, but that was happening already
Mhm.
2 years ago.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
been happening,
Yeah.
long time.
Oh, yeah.
That's shocking.
So they
like the
failed
sewage
to
will come
let
up out of
you
the
know.
drains and like go all over the roads and stuff. That happens a
No.
lot in Morning Sun Farms.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't know that.
I'm just so.
Was that on
unaware.
Spuds? Was there anything on the Spuds?
It would just say private water, I'm guessing, right?
But-
Yeah, you would,
Yeah.
I would hope so.
What?
On Spuds,
So
I
on
would say that.
Spuds, it probably just said private water, but there's no problems with, they didn't.
My Spuds didn't come back with anything, but 2 days after I bought my house, all the pipes burst in my house, and my house flooded, so I had to get the thing down to the studs and rebuild my house.
Are you
Holy crap.
serious? What? That's blood, that's.
So this thing is the second sign at least that you've gotten.
Yeah, oh, and then.
You're gonna live there
My home
forever.
is beautiful, like I redid it, I
Right.
did it how I wanted to do it, and I'm
Right.
like, wow, my house is too nice for the neighborhood now.
Oh, yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna live there forever.
I just figured I'll rent it out, there's so many renters in Queen Creek, it's insane.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed, like my whole street, there's 2 of us that own, and the
Wow.
other 18 houses are renters.
That's amazing.
insane.
But that's an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm like, I just have to sit on this until I make some more commission here to buy a different house, and then I rent this one out.
That's, that's my plan too, where I live.
Unsuspecting renters, like, sorry, the water sucks, 5 gallons.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what, maybe you could do a marketing thing about water, like how to have clean water, even though you live in Johnson Ranch. You know, like a whole,
Does
so you could be
purified
like,
water,
yeah,
water
yeah,
softeners,
like what,
Yeah.
what works better, Berta, blah, 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 like, can you use the water if you have I mean, kind of interesting.
Yeah. Get jugs, not Johnson.
But, I think, and my advice is just to stay strong, keep doing it, because eventually it's gonna pay off. Where I live, in Trilogy, there's a realtor who owns the neighborhood, Rich Johnson. He sells everything,
Huh,
and he's 70 years old.
huh.
Get it rich.
So I'm just gonna wait about 5 more years,
Until he.
right? I got time.
And
I love-
his wife's name is Carol, so.
Yeah,
corrupt.
That's right, I'm gonna put a X on him.
I love your lack of emotion when it comes to this sort of thing. Let's sell a house, it's just a house.
Yeah.
It's just a realtor. Right?
Yeah.
I was a hairdresser
Huh?
previous to going to baking because I thought people were too crazy with their hair and then they decided to do
Yes.
money and I did their homes. But I don't know what I'm doing. But you have to not have the emotion in it because if you don't have a level head, because people come in and they be so just crazy about their hair. Like, it's just hair.
Yeah,
Shave it off, it
Hair
comes
is
back.
worse than real estate if you ask me, because people come in and they're like, okay, I wanna do something different, but keep it long here over my ears and short in the back and da-da-da-da and color it this way. That's the same thing you have. Right? I'm doing something different.
Just be a better,
Well, like for
better
people, I don't want
customer.
any
Yeah.
2 stories and then they put an offer on the only 2 story.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it all comes back, but you just,
Was the master bedroom on the first floor at least?
at my house?
No, the one that, the 2-story.
No,
Oh,
no,
No, it's all
all
out
bedrooms
here.
are upstairs.
I mean, I can at least justify that in my head, like, okay, they're not super crazy.
It was a junker house. I was like, they were like, we really want to write an offer on blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that is the last house I would get for you. It's an old 2-story, so the cooling costs are gonna be crazy, right? In the summer. And needs a new roof, it needs new windows, it needs a new air conditioner. The yard is a total disaster. It's obviously been a rental. It's just beat down. Like, we can buy a different house if you want, you know? Sorry. Yeah, they ended up buying what they were searching for.
Morning. Good morning.
Hello. Well, for someone who wanted to get done early, right?
No, it was really fun.
I appreciate the chats though, 'cause like,
Yeah,
I just like picking everyone's minds about things and like I would never thought to place myself like, oh, here's water quality, how to make it better,
Like, why not?
right.
Like, it's on everybody's
But
mind.
it's not something I would have just.
But I'm not afraid to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and then another thing I do is, not everybody likes this idea, but especially if I was farming in the area where I live, I would have car magnets on my car. Cause they'll see you going to premium houses and they'll be like,
I'm a terrible driver, I don't want them to judge me.
That's why I just took mine off. I said the only calls I get are your left turn signals still on.
that's awesome, that's awesome.
I usually have a 2 and a 4-year-old in the car with me, and it's, Mom, I dropped my iPad, Mom, I dropped it. I'm like looking and, all right, well, I'm just saying, I don't need people to be like, you don't have to.
If you're a good driver. All right.
I'll slap them on when the
Thank you
kids
so
are.
much.
I'm watching them off as giant refrigerator magnets now.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you ever have any questions or problems or concerns, don't hesitate to look me up and call me, or I have an office downstairs next to Jim Calendar. And so I can tell you to stay away from Jim's office is, I can tell you what he says to everybody, because I hear him talking on the phone. Did you read the contract?
Okay, note to self. Before I call him about anything.
That's the
Know that
first
you
question
read
yeah,
the
you'll ask him.
Did you read the
What's he say?
contract? Oh. And if he closes the door, you know,
This is a conversation.
he's, it's not going well, yeah.
All right, everyone. Have a fantastic
Have a
weekend.
great weekend.
All right,
Everybody.
thanks for coming in, you guys, I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you very much for
Yeah.
teaching us.
You're welcome, I'm happy to help, I'm glad you are an enthusiastic crowd.
Can I ask a question, Beth?
Sure.
Okay, this is maybe, I
Oh,
want to
no,
ask somebody.
Sure, what can I help you with?
I gave the seller's agent a raise on 24th. So now it's been 6 days.
They have 10 days to respond.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, they have
I
10
thought
days
it was
to.
only 5, and I was kind of freaking out.
Well,
Hey,
wait, I'm
AC, how
sorry.
are you? I knew I was gonna get the fist bump when I get the AC.
That's right.
That's the AC, but it's
They
the
have
half.
10
I
days
thought
to
it was the
respond
AC.
to your-
Well, it's AC and
And that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay,
you were
so
good.
we have 10 days, and then they have 10 days.
Another 5 days.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that was close.
Good, really good, very interactive
Okay, let's
as
look at
always,
the calendar.
Good.
but maybe even more so.
Good.
New is good activity.
Hey,
Yeah.
he's telling me that they're gonna agree to
What's
the
going on now?
Um,
My calendar to see, but-
It is a leadership meeting
So 1, 2,
regarding
3,
the
4, 5, 6
new
days.
layout.
So they have
Oh,
10 more days to
we're
respond.
at the,
Are you sure?
okay.
I'm
Yeah,
buying
make sure
You
everything's
gave it
in
to
the
them
right
on the
spot,
24th?
make sure.
Where's that coming, both offices moving to a different,
And then
it's
you
like,
have 5
you know
days to
where Walgreens
respond
is,
back.
or where
So
Walgreens
it is the
is?
You gave it
That's
to
what I
them on the
thought.
24th.
Yeah.
Alright. That's when I saw a picture of it, it looked like a Walgreens with the KW on it, right?
And if he said, if they
If
say,
that were
freaking out,
anyone's
say they
fault,
say,
it
we're not
wouldn't
gonna
be-
fix it.
If it were anyone's fault,
Let's
it
say that's
would
their
be
response.
totally.
And you have 5 days to say, we'll take it.
So we're excited, we're ready.
Cool.
Okay.
Things rolling.
Yeah.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
That's okay, no, thank you.
Great.
I was-
Okay, yeah, no problem. Stay in touch.
Absolutely.
Amanda? Is that your name, Amanda?
Yes.
Amanda
meet Beth. I'm sorry, Amanda's not introduced yet? What's happening, Amanda?
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Your brain's
How's
still
class?
chilled.
Ask the students.
He just said it was awesome.
It was good. It's always good.
So much to take in.
There you go.
Oh,
Good
yes,
time.
we had a little negotiation, experiment.
Oh, fun. How did that go?
We all walked away, all the buyers did walk away from the house.
So I have to get a better
But we all learned
example.
something.
Great job on not telling the whole.
Well, that's what the listing agents, like the listing agent.
Some of them do act like that.
It's
Not
so
interested.
true, and my
Not interested.
example was the sellers are 1 month from foreclosure and they're gonna lose their house next month. And they all let the buyers walk away.
I think all the buyers agents won that, like on the whole. Given their situation, their situation was ridiculous.
That's been, tell us who won.
So you had some represent the seller and some
And
represent
they
the
had
buyer.
different stories.
And we didn't know the buyers, or the sellers, we were both buyers.
So the listing agent got, you're a month away from foreclosure, you had one full price or one offer and you rejected it and now you're back on the market, you know, and
Yeah.
like, you're representing these people.
Yeah,
They're 1 month from foreclosure. The
Yeah.
husband just lost his job.
They owe the
Yeah.
bank 200,000.
And then you got some cash buyers from Minnesota who just think they don't need a house in Arizona.
Right.
Right. That approach.
right.
Everybody's still alive,
So-
get out,
And
stay
the
behind.
buyers all walked.
Good to see your faces
So
again.
my poor seller is going to.
Not beat up too bad, huh?
Arnold Gamble, so
Find another buyer.
I ate more
Whoever the
of that.
buyer.
Good luck.
Find another buyer.
You
I
what?
lost a lot of money eating.
I remember I used to go to Vegas
See
in
ya.
high school, 20 bucks and last a weekend.
Oh my gosh.
Now it's like
Not even a drink.
a beer is 12
How's your
bucks.
head?
I'm like, are you freaking kidding
It's
me?
not even a drink. Our first round of just the 2 drinks we got before the concert, $49.
You're doing great.
Like us in
So
the
hang
first
tight.
time.
So,
I told Karen that, I remember in college going out with 40 bucks in my pocket.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It'd be done for the whole week in Vegas, yeah.
so I sat down at this bar, and I just waited for my buddy to show up. And Irene's, she's like, let's just put a couple dollars in so we get a free drink. And the bartender comes up and he goes, unless you put 10 bucks in.
Even
you know,
the
I
sunset was
considered it.
over
I said,
that
you know,
one.
I'll just buy it. I said, I'm waiting for my buddy. And so we're sitting there, and I get it, and I'm like, shit, it would have been cheaper to put 10 bucks in. Because it was $16 for a glass of wine and beer.
Right.
And he goes, who you waiting for? I said, oh, my buddy, he works here. Oh, where's he work? I said, I don't know, he's in charge of the hotel. He has nothing with the casino. He's like, oh. I said, Kirkendall? Oh, he's the big man. He goes, here, let me give you these streets.
Yes.
Then we went out and had a $300 dinner.
With no
Nice.
friends
Where did
attached
you
to
go?
save you.
Caro's, it's over by the convention center, just an Italian restaurant. It's been there forever. And we went there, I told him, I said, I'm buying. Because last year, when we went 2 years ago, he's like, well, let's go up top. We went to the tower and sat in that room for 3 hours. I'm sure we spent $1,000. But it was all comped on him, so.
Right. Take it.
Yeah. He goes, I'm buying next time. I said, next time come to Gilbert.
Yeah. Right?
All right, everybody, get your pen, paper and pencils out. Bring your artistic mind and start drawing out what you think the market's actually.
Oh, it's one of those.
It's this. I in my office should be
Big
right
offices.
here.
Yeah.
So, I like the idea, what I heard about when they invite new recruits to the ALC. And they have
Yeah.
the arena or whatever.
Galley?
The
Gallery.
viewing gallery, right?
But, you know, so we can have the surgeon center.
Yeah.
All the surgeons are in there.
Yeah.
And then they can be up above looking at.
It's brilliant, right? Put the speaker on.
Is that right? It's-
Yeah, that's actually a little slow. It's 11:57. Jesse, do you need me to print anything?
Well, I think they have a handle
Okay.
to Jill and Michelle.
Okay. I'm gonna
They're
just look
finishing
up
up
that.
the, well, they're finishing up the MCA goal.
Oh, are they? Okay. Oh.
So, I know you've heard this once, and you're probably gonna hear it like 5 more times.
That's okay.
Which team in this office knows anything about CGI?
Oh my OMG. I've gotten 5 calls on that between
That's
now
what I was-
and when we
That's
left.
what I was
It
yelling
is.
yesterday. So, we need to find somebody in the next 2 weeks, or 1 week,
Okay.
from any Keller Williams office that is doing it really well.
I told you,
All
Heather asked me
Awesome.
that yesterday, I told her I'd
Yeah,
find
yeah,
out.
I'm not gonna spend 5 hours trying to figure that
Well,
out.
everybody's using CTE, I know we are, to look at that. And, I was trying to figure out how to back these numbers in, and I'm like,
We need someone.
I'm sending a text right now and see if I can.
I mean, there has to be someone who's doing it right.
well, we get John Davis in here.
He doesn't know it either.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
I mean, that was the
No,
problem
they'll
with
find
CTE,
someone,
remember,
but-
we couldn't, I mean, it's like no one was doing CTE at an extremely high level. Because the CTE is one of those things that there's so much about that, and
It's an animal.
CGI is not the same, it's very minimal, but at the same time, setting it up the first time.
Well, and there's a lot to be said with simplicity. I mean, even with CTE, we use a lot of it, but we don't use all of it.
No, we use this simple stuff, and
I've never done a horse race.
So, okay, CTE. So is that something the Market Center purchases every year?
yes. Yes, so there's
We're
a
here.
kiwi out of Minnesota for you,
Yeah.
and we've purchased it. I think we do an annual user
Oh,
from
okay,
it.
that's-
Okay.
We did print you a big one.
Okay.
Yeah, that was something
Do we have the
that
copies as
Rhonda
well?
was in charge of, actually, is Rhonda still downstairs with the?
She's down with DLJ and, huh?
She was handling it.
So I need to,
Yeah. You know what, Jesse, I'm
She'll know
sure
what
it's
it's
not
like.
easy.
okay.
You know what? Why don't you wanna put it on the screen too?
Yep.
And not yet, don't have it out yet.
No,
Not yet.
okay.
How many boards is that, one?
Two. Well, there is two. So, and we pulled the first iteration of it, and then just have it available, and then we'll just go over what she sent over
Yes.
yesterday.
I can do all of that.
I tell.
And I know where it's all at too, so it's gonna be just easy.
How are you? Steve?
Ooh.
Mr. Barry, how are you, sir?
Good, how are you, Justin?
Hey, Melanie.
Good.
I'm good, how are you?
What's up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Shivani, I didn't see you.
You made it! How was Rod Stewart?
Can
Oh, good. I saw your video. It looked awesome.
No, go on up. I don't know how many people are gonna have it. Okay, it's gonna be interactive, so.
Baby shark, do, 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 do. What am I doing? Do, oh, just say.
This seat's not,
Michelle, will you pick my stuff up by you?
Come on, Heather, get right up close.
Is this it?
Right up close.
Sitting there. I don't wanna sit
Right
there.
up close. Come on.
looking for a girlfriend?
Can I sit by?
Not if there's Brandon there, nobody's gonna wanna sit there.